the full-time magician, the Phoenix. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76, Bryn's transformation. Why did it become like this? Was he too weak? Was he too weak to protect his family? But the one he should hate the most was that woman. The woman who controlled his body and killed so many of his companions. Damn it. Become stronger and then take revenge. This is what Bryn thought. What does it mean to live well? Bryn can still clearly feel the sword piercing his family and other goblins. Ugh. Bryn couldn't help but retching when he thought of it. Bryn stood up quickly. The woman left here the moment she saw the Elf King, so now Bryn has time to bury his people. Bryn didn't know how long it took to bury all his people. Bryn felt that he buried not only his family and people, but also laziness and human nature. Bryn walked alone to the north. There are high-level demons there, which is an extremely bloody place. But how could Bryn, who has seen hell, still care about this? Bryn only needs to become stronger, and only wants to become stronger. Why do you want to be adventurers? Duanzai said, looking at the three fully armed little girls in front of him. Because this way we can get back the things our mother gave us. Meng Meng looked at Duanzai and said that they moved to the town a few years ago because of the attack of demons, but the gift her mother gave them was left there. That thing was the last relic of their father, so they always wanted to find the relic, but the number of demons there was so large that even Jess didn't dare to go there. They couldn't count on others and had to go by themselves. Looking at the heavy expressions of the three little girls, Duanzai was very tactful and didn't continue to ask, because it's better not to know some things. Not everything is good. Then let's go. Duanzai said to the three little girls. Well, let's go. Xiaolu said at this time. Duanzai didn't ask any more questions, which made her feel relieved. In this way, the four of them set off towards their destination. But after walking for a while, Duanzai felt that the speed was too slow, so he proposed the function of flying. The three little girls were also happy to hang on Duanzai. So Duanzai opened his dragon wings. Two little girls held his hands, and one hooked his neck and flew into the sky. The three little girls were scared and excited. After all, flying is not something that everyone can do. Coupled with the pressure from the dragon wings, it directly saved them a lot of trouble. After flying for about half an hour, the four people successfully arrived at their destination. Duanzai took the three little girls to check the dilapidated building. In addition to some small creatures living in it, there were no other monsters. The little girls searched in the building for a while and then came out holding a small wooden box. Is it okay? Duanzai tilted his head and looked at the three little girls. He didn't want to ask too much because it might be the little girl's sad story. It would be useless to mention it again, except to open the scar. After all, he was not good at comforting people. In the end, the four returned to the town. Thank you very much for helping us. Meng Meng, a girl who looked very lively, said to Duanzai. Because I'm very free. That's why I want to thank you for helping me kill time. Duanzai thought for a while and said, so that none of the girls would be so grateful. Is that so? Goodbye then. Meng Meng said to Duanzai. Xiaolu and Xiaoshu also nodded and said, thank you. Yeah. Duanzai nodded and said. After saying goodbye to the girls, Duanzai set off. One day later, a girl was running fast in the wilderness, with hundreds of wilderness demon wolves behind her. This girl was attacked. The running girl slightly turned her face to see Duanzai with black hair. The girl instantly changed direction and rushed towards Duanzai. Does this girl want to use herself as a shield? Duanzai was stunned and thought. But when the girl ran in front of Duanzai, she said loudly, why don't you run? The girl felt that Duanzai was scared, so he couldn't move normally. And Duanzai was a little confused. These wilderness demon wolves should run. The girl gritted her teeth and rushed to Duanzai, then carried Duanzai and ran. You are here. Duanzai wanted to explain, but the girl didn't give him a chance. Shut up, coward, the girl said angrily. This is the territory of the wild wolf. Why would anyone come? Duanzai continued to say with a smile. I shut up. Little white face. The girl continued to interrupt Duanzai. She was very angry now. If it weren't for saving Duanzai, she would have led the wolves into a trap. Shut up. Shut up. The girl's repeated language output made Duanzai feel extremely aggrieved. In this way, Duanzai was carried to a place by the girl. There are many people and buildings here. Did you go to rob someone? A man said in surprise. He didn't expect Hua to go to rob a boy instead of doing her job. No, la. Our violent little princess is also in heat. A blonde girl said with a smirk. Hua, have you robbed a boy and come back? I'll go prepare the room now. A gentle woman said happily. She thought Hua would be single for the rest of her life. Oh. This time Duanzai was happy. This girl must have understood his depression just now. The girl didn't let him speak just now, but he was frustrated for a long time. Go away. A bunch of idiots. Hua said impatiently, then put Duanzai on the ground and continued. This guy must be scared. Give him something to eat to calm him down. I'm not scared. Duanzai looked at the girl and said, although the girl looked very rude, she was surprisingly a good person. Weren't you so scared that you couldn't speak just now? Hua touched her head and said, revealing a hint of cuteness. That's because you keep interrupting me. Duanzai couldn't help but said loudly. Huh? You yelled at me? You know I just saved you, right? Are you an ungrateful person? Hua had a bad temper, so Duanzai's loud voice made her think that Duanzai was angry, so she naturally yelled back. I didn't yell at you. Duanzai couldn't help but say. If you're yelling that loudly, what else can you do? Is there something wrong with your brain? Hua continued. Chapter 77 Rose Flame. Teacher Tang Yu, are you okay? Mo Fan couldn't help but ask as he looked at the beautiful teacher with a springy face. He and Tang Yu came to investigate, but this beautiful teacher was drugged by a despicable man named Cheohe. Although it was a bit despicable, Mo Fan unexpectedly wanted to thank the despicable man. Go and absorb the rose flame. Tang Yu gritted her teeth and said. If it was a handsome guy, she could accept it reluctantly, but forget about Mo Fan. Mo Fan walked over a little depressed. He thought the teacher would pounce on him immediately. After watching Mo Fan absorb the rose flame, Tang Yu gradually distanced herself from Mo Fan. She didn't want to lose her virginity in this situation again. So Tang Yu walked to a farther place. Suddenly someone screamed and fell from the sky. If you look closely, there are many vines on this person's body, and this person is tied up tightly by the vines. Bang! This person fell in front of Tang Yu. Tang Yu was stunned for a moment, and then saw the appearance of this person clearly. Black short hair and handsome features. Is it an illusion? Why do I see him? Tang Yu wondered, because the person in front of him was Duanzai. Damn it. Why did a wolf become a beautiful girl? Duanzai said depressedly, then looked up at the familiar person in front of him and said, long time no see, teacher. Tang Yu confirmed that the boy in front of him was Duanzai. Wait a minute. Teacher, why are you pulling my clothes? I want to check. Then why do you want to touch? Of course, a physical examination should be more careful. Old. Teacher, you are too close. Don't you like it? Not really. It's just too what? I know. Teacher, you are greedy for my body. Yeah. Why are you so calm? Because I'm greedy for your body. Hiss. Not long ago, when Duanzai and Hua were arguing excitedly, a blue-haired beautiful girl came. The first sentence the blue-haired beautiful girl said when she saw Duanzai was, come over here. Ha. Duanzai was immediately unhappy. With her hands on her hips, she looked at the blue-haired girl and said, girl, have you never died? Do you know? Many people become orphans because of their arrogance. Suddenly, a huge ice blue wolf walked out from the blue-haired girl. Looking at the familiar posture and the mockery in the wolf's eyes, Duanzai instantly understood that the blue-haired girl in front of him was the Snow Queen. Is it really not good to be a wolf? Do you have to be a human? Then Duanzai trembled. The people around him didn't even dare to say a word, because the breath emitted by the ice giant wolf made them have no intention of resisting at all. Can I still roll over? Duanzai said with a painful mask. The Snow Queen frowned, and then a large number of ice vines instantly wrapped around Duanzai and dragged him over. Why didn't I feel that this guy was so cheap before? Then he was thrown in front of Tangyu by the Snow Queen. Why do I feel that I have lost hundreds of millions after absorbing the rose flame? Fan looked at the dog and the woman walking in front and gritted his teeth. This bastard actually ran away. But it's good to come back. Fan tried to comfort himself. But the more he thought about it, the angrier he got. Go to hell. Fan rushed behind Duan Zioi and strangled him, saying, have you thought about how to die? Ahem. Brother Fan, can I choose to die naturally? Duan Zioi looked at Fan and said, there's a river ahead, and drowning is also considered a natural death for you. Fan said in a low voice, what are you thinking? Duan Zioi said as he broke free from his restraints. Well, I'll leave first. Tangyu said and drove away. She hadn't figured out how to face Duan Zioi's parents and asked them if she had slept with their son or tied up. Have a good chat with your family. Fan patted Duan Zioi on the shoulder and said. Duan Zioi's return almost made him cry. If he hadn't wanted to maintain his image as a big brother, he would have cried a long time ago. Goodbye. Duan Zioi said and rushed to his home. Zioi, what's wrong with you? A handsome boy said as he looked at the beautiful blonde girl in front of him. He liked this girl very much, but the girl ignored him completely, instead covering her cheeks with tears bursting out instantly. The girl rushed out. The handsome boy saw the girl pounce on a black-haired boy. Instantly, the handsome boy's expression became ugly. Duan Zioi lay on the black-haired boy and cried. It's so dirty. Duan Zioi couldn't help but say that the girl's tears fell into his mouth. Asshole. Wow wow wow. Duan Zioi lowered her head to Duan Zioi's head and cried and cursed. I'm sorry. Duan Zioi said after a moment of silence. Only now did he feel that his sister didn't seem to hate him so much. Apologize for what? Duan Zioi's face got closer to Duan Zioi and said. Duan Zioi moved his mouth and rubbed Duan Zioi's thin lips. Duan Zioi stopped crying and began to accumulate anger. You were too close. So I accidentally. Duan Zioi tried to explain. Go to hell. Duan Zioi pinched Duan Zioi's head and smashed it into the ground. Are you going to kill me? Duan Zioi couldn't help but say. Go to hell. Bastard, I'm your sister. You pervert. Have you read too many light novels? Duan Zioi continued. After a moment. Are you okay? The handsome boy looked at Duan Zioi and said. It's okay. Duan Zioi smiled and said. I saw your head bleeding. The boy continued and looked at Duan Zioi who was like a tiger. He didn't expect Duan Zioi to be so violent. Minor injury. Duan Zioi thought for a while and said. Humph. Let's go home. Duan Zioi dragged Duan Zioi's hand and left. The boy who was left behind looked at the two of them in a daze. After returning home, Duan Zioi underwent a careful examination by his family. It was not until midnight that Duan Zioi was allowed to go back to sleep. Not long after, someone called. Duan Zioi answered the phone and said, it's midnight. Brother, can you talk tomorrow? Huh. After all, he's not dead. The girl on the other end of the phone said, who are you? Duan Zioi frowned and said. The white-haired girl frowned and said, Bing Fengxin. Who is it? Duan Zioi didn't react for a moment. Bing Fengxin frowned and hung up the phone. Psychopath. Duan Zioi complained and fell asleep. Duan Zioi had a strange dream. In the dream, Hu Taomeng kept saying that he was a pervert, a sister complex, and a queen complex. Chapter 78 Daily Life. Early in the morning. Get up. Duan Zioi said loudly in Duan Zioi's ear. Ah. So annoying. Get out. Duan Zioi said without opening his eyes. After finally getting home, can't I sleep well? Muningsu is here. Duan Zioi said dissatisfiedly. Is it sick to knock on the door so early in the morning? Of course, for Duan Zioi. Duan Zioi who disturbed his sleep so early in the morning was also sick. I know. Duan Zioi lifted the quilt and walked out. Muningsu, who was sitting in the living room, saw that Duan Zioi had nothing to do and calmed down a little, but didn't say anything but waited for Duan Zioi to wash up. This bastard is too lazy. Duan Zioi's mother looked at Muningsu and said gently. She wanted Muningsu to be her daughter-in-law. After all, Muningsu was talented and super beautiful. She was simply a daughter-in-law who was one in a million. Yeah. Muningsu nodded and said that the news that Duanzai came back was told by Emofan. Although she felt that Emofan and Duanzai had a good relationship, she and he were also friends since childhood. There was no phone call. Muningsu felt that she was treated differently, but she thought it was normal. However, she still felt dissatisfied and came here. Xiaoxu, what do you think of Xiaoi? Duanzai's mother said with shining eyes. Not bad. Muningsu said. Duanzai's appearance was perfect, and he was talented, so he was okay overall. Why don't you two get engaged? Duanzai's mother thought there was a chance, and continued to talk. Engagement? Muningsu tilted her head. She didn't expect Duanzai's mother to think so. She had a good impression of Duanzai, but she didn't like him. But if she got engaged to him, it would stop the oppression of the Mu family, right? After all, Mr. Lin was super strong. And if they really had feelings for each other in the future, they could get married. But if they didn't have feelings for each other, they could live separately. Muningsu thought for a while and said, okay, as long as he is willing. Duanzai, who was standing aside, also heard Muningsu's words. He felt that Muningsu must have encountered something that bothered her, so she needed to use engagement to settle it. The only thing that needs to be settled by engagement is probably the covetousness of others. Those sweeters of her beauty must have caused her a lot of trouble, so she agreed. Duanzai thought, while brushing his teeth. Duanzai's mother excitedly told everyone the news. Then Duanzai blocked Duanzai and said, I don't like her. She's so cold. It shouldn't be easy for her now, so give her some buffer time. Duanzai looked at Duanzai and said. Duanzai already knew the news of the destruction of Bo City, so Muningsu's family must have suffered heavy losses. I know. Duanzai is a smart person, so she also knows what Duanzai means. Using his grandfather's identity to get protection, Muningsu's coldness is still quite smart. Duanzai walked out with her hands folded. After Duanzai washed up, he was kicked out of the house by his mother on the grounds that he took Muningsu on a date. To be on the safe side, Duanzai told Demofan the news. He didn't want to become the one who robbed his friend's girlfriend. Although Muningsu is not Emofan's girlfriend, Emofan also said that he could understand. How strong are you now? Muningsu looked at Duanzai and said. How strong? Now the fire system has broken through to the high level, but the others have not yet. Duanzai said without hiding his cultivation. High level? Muningsu was stunned for a moment. She is only a mid-level mage now. Not working hard enough. You are mid-level, right? Duanzai said with a smile. Seeing Duanzai's slightly wretched smile, Muningsu said with a straight face, the mid-level is the only way for every strong man. Looking at Muningsu, who was a little reluctant to admit that she was weak, Duanzai said helplessly, your eloquence has improved. Unexpectedly, this beautiful girl of ice and snow also became interesting. Muningsu looked at Duanzai and said seriously, it's good to be back. Duanzai was stunned for a moment and then said, don't be so emotional. I will cry. Muningsu is a person who is not good at expressing emotions. Duanzai is very clear about this. Which university are you going to apply to? Muningsu did not respond to Duanzai's words, but said calmly, it should be Mingzhu College. Duanzai thought for a while and said, Emofan is there. He wants to go and play with Emofan. He shouldn't be bored during college. But your home is much closer to Imperial Capital College. Muningsu knew that Duanzai was going to find Emofan. Yeah. But Mingzhu College is great. Duanzai said with a smile. Muningsu did not continue the topic but said, are we dating now? Duanzai was stunned for a moment and then said, I think so. But you should also take it as a joke. Duanzai looked relaxed. Muningsu glanced at Duanzai and said, do you think so? Duanzai looked at Muningsu's appearance and felt a little strange, but still said, what else? I'm going back. Muningsu walked forward quickly. Did she remember something urgent? Looking at Muningsu's brisk walking, there might be something urgent. Duanzai followed and said, do you need any help? Muningsu said coldly, get into the trash can. Huh? What happened? Why do you suddenly say that? Duanzai said in confusion. He was used to Muningsu's temper, so he didn't say anything to her. Muningsu looked at Duanzai who had been following her and slowly stopped. What's wrong? Duanzai continued. Sorry, I just had a problem with my attitude. Muningsu didn't look back, but looked at the passers-by in front of her and said, it's okay. Anyway, I'm used to it, and you know Duanzai is more difficult to serve than you. Duanzai was stunned for a moment and said, Muningsu actually apologized? Am I difficult to serve? Muningsu looked back at Duanzai and said, no, not at all. Duanzai, who had a strong desire to survive, said hurriedly. Muningsu approached Duanzai and said, I'm hungry. Then let's go eat. It's been a long time since we talked like this, right? Duanzai looked at Muningsu and said, it's been a long time. Muningsu said with a thoughtful expression, you used to be very talkative, but why have you gradually become less talkative? Duanzai looked at Muningsu and said, he remembered that Muningsu was like a little rabbit when she was 3 years old. Do you still remember what I said before? Muningsu looked at Duanzai and said, when was it before? Duanzai tilted his head and said, Muningsu had said a lot to him, but he didn't know what she was referring to. It's okay. Muningsu didn't continue. Chapter 79 Date. That little guy can't talk at all. The woman wearing a mask hid in the corner and watched Muningsu and Duanzai, not caring about other people's eyes. The woman was Duanzai's mother. She dressed up and followed her son and Muningsu out of curiosity. But it was obvious that her son had stepped on Muningsu's minefield. If he wasn't handsome, this guy would never have a girlfriend, right? Duanzai's mother thought. Do you feel a very cold feeling? Duanzai said suddenly, because he felt goosebumps all over his body. I'm going home. Muningsu said, and walked forward quickly. If you don't want to stay with me anymore, just say it. Still need to make excuses? Don't you want to eat? Duanzai said behind Muningsu. I'm going to practice. What's for dinner? Muningsu said calmly. Muningsu is angry. Why is she angry? Hi, Muningsu. Suddenly 2 girls greeted Muningsu. Both girls looked very beautiful. Something? Muningsu said simply. She usually didn't have a good relationship with girls. Is he also your sweeter? A girl said sarcastically. Or is he a spare tire? Another girl said. Muningsu is the most popular girl in the school, so most girls are jealous of her. Why can she be loved by so many people? He is my fiancé. Muningsu looked at the 2 girls and said, her beautiful big eyes were full of indifference. You are only a little over 18 years old? A girl said in surprise. Is his family rich? Another girl said. It can be heard that these girls don't like Muningsu very much, so Duanzai stepped forward and looked at the 2 girls and said, jealousy makes the already ugly face even worse. After speaking, Duanzai took Muningsu's hand and left. Muningsu's hand is so soft as cotton candy. I want to take a bite. Muningsu silently looked at Duanzai and frowned, because Duanzai quietly exerted force and then withdrew the force. Did this guy treat his hand as a doll? Let go. Muningsu couldn't help but say. Ah. Oh. Duanzai silently let go of Muningsu's hand. It was so soft. Let's go to the front to eat. Muningsu looked at Duanzai and said. Didn't you say you wanted to go home? Duanzai said in surprise. Muningsu wanted to go home just now. Are girls so fickle? If you don't want to eat, go home by yourself. Muningsu said. Of course I have to eat. Duanzai said with a smile. How could I not eat the free meal? But in the end, Duanzai paid for it. After separating from Muningsu, Duanzai received a call from Mubei. Are you okay? Mubei's cold voice was still the same. It's okay. And are you okay too? Duanzai said. It's okay. Then goodbye. Mubei hung up the phone after saying that. Duanzai rubbed his head. Mubei seemed to be having a bad time. He should be working hard to become stronger. Not long after, he received a call from Emofan, who asked Duanzai to find him and go to Mingzhu College for the exam together. Duanzai agreed and then told his family and then told Muningsu. He thought that this ice and snow girl would not reply to the message, but the result was unexpected. Goodbye, and don't learn to be mean from Emofan. This was the message sent by Muningsu. This ice and snow girl is destroying her character. Ah, big brother, are you a pervert? Suddenly, a little girl holding a mobile phone looked at Duanzai with a vigilant face and said. Duanzai put away his obscene smile and looked at the little girl and said, "It is said that children who play with mobile phones will be spanked." The little girl took a step back and said, "I didn't play with my mobile phone. Goodbye." Duanzai had no intention of continuing to chat with the little girl, so he took a taxi and headed towards Emofan's position. "Ah. So slow," Emofan said helplessly while sitting on the bench. If there weren't so many hot girls here, he would have left long ago. He was waiting for Duanzai here, but Duanzai was too slow, right? "Brother Fan, I'm here." Suddenly Duanzai walked over with a smile. "So handsome. That guy." Some girls started to talk when they saw Duanzai. Hiss. Emofan was unhappy. "I'm the handsome one, okay? So slow, you bastard." Emofan hooked Duanzai's neck and said, "Well, there is nothing I can do. The girls are too enthusiastic." Duanzai said helplessly. Emofan felt that he was offended. He let go of Duanzai angrily and said, "Which department are you going to?" Hearing Emofan's question, Duanzai said, "Plant department." "Huh. As expected, you have broken through to the intermediate level? Well, I have also broken through," Emofan said proudly. Duanzai swallowed the news that he had broken through to the high level. If he said it out, Emofan's mentality would explode, right? Because the examination of the plant department is not in the same area as Emofan's summoning department, the two separated. Duanzai came to the admissions office of the plant department. "Please release some magic." The teacher at the admissions office looked at Duanzai and said, "Generally speaking, if the magic is released quickly, they will let it pass the exam. Magic vines, entanglement." Suddenly, a large number of green vines emerged from the ground, and there were tiny spikes on these vines. The teacher at the admissions office adjusted his glasses and said, "Your magic is released very quickly. Please keep up the good work. I believe you can become a strong man." It was difficult for even him to release magic so quickly. "Yes, I will," Duanzai said to the teacher at the admissions office. "You can enroll after registering your information." The teacher at the admissions office pointed at a girl and said, "The little girlie's so cold to you." "Oh." The girl secretly looked at Duanzai and walked towards the teacher at the admissions office. After Duanzai registered his information, he left. However, he did not see Emofan at the agreed place, probably because the test was not finished yet. Duanzai did not plan to look for Emofan, because he could just wait here. And the girls were all dressed very hot. "Can I sit here?" Suddenly a nice voice said. Duanzai looked up and saw that it was a beautiful girl. "Of course. This is not my home," Duanzai said to the beautiful girl. The girl sat next to Duanzai and took a book and read quietly. Duanzai did not disturb the girl. It was nice to just watch the girl quietly. At this moment, Emofan was bullying the weak. Chapter 80 Searching for Fire Spirit Seed. When Emofan walked out of the admissions office of the summoning department, he found Duanzai sitting with a beautiful girl. Although the beautiful girl was reading a book, she would occasionally look at the handsome guy next to her. Emofan took out his mobile phone and took a picture of this scene, intending to use it to blackmail Duanzai in the future. Duanzai had been observing the surroundings, so he saw the moment Emofan came out, and Duanzai was also very clear about the purpose of Emofan taking out his mobile phone to take pictures. It felt funny and depressed. This guy's really not ordinary cheap. "Goodbye." Duanzai stood up and whispered to the girl. He didn't want such a girl to be disturbed by Emofan. "Goodbye." The girl raised her head and smiled. She didn't expect that the boy in front of her would say such words to her. This made the girl have a little good impression of Duanzai. Of course, it was just a good impression. "Is it necessary?" Duanzai walked in front of Emofan and said. "It is necessary." Emofan looked at Duanzai and said seriously, "By the way, what are you going to do now that there are still 2 months before school starts?" Emofan continued. Duanzai thought for a while and said, "Go home and rest for a while. Or you can come to my house too." "Forget it. I guarantee your sister will scold you every day if I go. So forget it," Emofan said. After thinking about it, He planned to use these 2 months to improve his cultivation. So Duan Zioi and Mo Fan had a good meal and then separated. What he needs now is fighting, so he has to find monsters to fight. Now he has spirit seeds in every system, but the high level fire system needs fire spirit seeds. And his fire spirit seeds are very difficult to find. Fire elves need to eat fire spirit seeds, and colorful flames also need spirit seeds to strengthen. Duan Zioi can feel that his colorful flames are about to break through to the soul seed level. So he needs to find a large number of fire spirit seeds or soul seeds. Taklamakan Desert, with an area of 337,600 square kilometers, it is the largest desert in my country and the second largest mobile desert in the world, second only to the Rub al Khali Desert, 650,000 square kilometers, in the Arabian Peninsula. It is distributed in the Tarim Basin in XJ, and the sand dunes are up to 200 meters high. Therefore, there are a large number of fire spirits and earth spirits in the Taklamakan Desert, so it is a good place to find fire spirits. Duan Zioi, who was determined, sent a message to his family and headed towards the Taklamakan Desert. A few days later, a group of people wearing white robes and wrapped their heads with white scarves rode camels and walked forward slowly. After all, there are many spirits here, so I wish you all good luck. The leading man said and left the team on a camel to look for spirits. The next people also separated their routes and looked for opportunities. Only one person continued to move forward. TSK. Don't know whether to live or die. A man couldn't help but say, if you go any further, you will be in the territory of demons. Is this guy looking for death? What a pity, said the woman next to the man. She accidentally saw that man's appearance, and he was a very handsome man. She wanted to do something, but that man had no intention of doing so, so the woman had to give up. The person who walked forward alone was Duan Zioi. It was too difficult to find spirit seeds in these places, so he walked forward. Anyway, he also needed demons to train himself. Isn't it good to kill 2 birds with 1 stone? The surroundings were all red gobi, and it was very hot. Duan Zioi walked for a long time, before he found a fire spirit seed on a huge rock. Suddenly the fire elf rushed out of Duan Zioi's chest. What's wrong? Duan Zioi said curiously. The fire elf screamed, but Duan Zioi knew what she meant. She said that she could find spirit seeds, because the spirit seeds contained magic energy, so she could clearly feel these magic powers. That is, she was a spirit seed radar. So Duan Zioi gave the task of finding spirit seeds to the fire elf and the ice elf. The 2 little guys were happily searching for spirit seeds in the Gobi Desert. The fire elf found 3 spirit seeds in 3 minutes, 2 earth spirit seeds, and 1 fire spirit seed. Duan Zioi saw the fire elf wipe the fire spirit seed and put it in his mouth. He started to chew it. Is this guy a glutton? Duan Zioi couldn't help thinking. But he also started to look for it. But his speed was too slow. It took about 10 minutes to find a fire spirit seed. Duan Zioi put the fire spirit seed in his hand and swallowed it with the colorful flame, and then the colorful flame became more gorgeous. And Duan Zioi felt that the colorful flame became stronger. When his colorful flame breaks through to the soul seed, it will be 4 times strengthened, plus the strengthening of another soul seed, and then there will be 4 times the praise of the seal. Then it will be 64 times strengthened, and there will be the fire spirit soul seed level flame, the sky wrath red flame. Hiss. Is it too abnormal? Duan Zioi felt that he might be invincible in the future. Roar. Suddenly a sand demon attacked Duan Zioi. Sand demons are very common demons in the desert, and are very cunning. Duan Zioi took a look, and found that it was a war general level sand demon. Such a demon is not Duan Zioi's opponent at all. Wind track wind blade. The 7th level magic of the primary wind system is enough to kill the sand demon. Dozens of wind blades instantly cut the sand demon into pieces, and scarlet blood splashed everywhere. However, the blood did not splash on Duan Zioi's body. Suddenly the voice of the fire elf came over. When Duan Zioi looked over, a sand demon was rolling in the flames, but it turned into ashes in less than 2 seconds. It was probably because this unlucky guy attacked the fire elf and was burned. At this time, the ice elf flew in front of Duan Zioi holding a few spirit seeds. The ice elf's hands were very small and could only hold 5 spirit seeds, so after finding 5 spirit seeds, she came to Duanzai's side. "Thank you." Duanzai took the spirit seeds and touched the ice elf's cheek. Ah. The ice elf shyly avoided Duanzai's attack. Although the ice elf was avoiding, Duanzai could still feel her happy mood through the contract. The ice elf is very beautiful, just like a doll of a perfect beautiful girl, but a little small. Ah. The ice elf left Duanzai and continued to look for spirit seeds. She felt very happy to help Duanzai. Crack crack. The fire elf came to Duanzai while chewing the spirit seeds and handed 3 earth spirit seeds and 3 fire spirit seeds to Duanzai. Duanzai gently poked the fire elf's face with his hand. Puff. Fragments of the spirit seeds drilled out of the fire elf's mouth. Fire elf. Chapter 81 Untitled. The fire elf silently sucked back the fire spirit seeds that overflowed from its mouth. Then it flapped its wings and continued to look for spirit seeds. Duanzai put away the earth spirit seeds and the fire spirit seeds were swallowed by his colorful flames. Soon a day passed. Duanzai sat on the rock and looked at the starry sky with many stars. The starry sky is still very beautiful. Ah, ah, ah. The fire elf sat on Duanzai's shoulder and shook its little feet and called softly. What the fire elf said is what's so beautiful about the stars. If the fire elf were a human, it would be a violent female image. Duanzai couldn't help thinking. The ice elf sat on the edge of Duanzai's palm, and its little feet were also shaking. The fire elf, the ice elf, and Duanzai looked at the starry sky for nearly an hour before going to bed. Early morning. When Duanzai woke up and rubbed his eyes, the fire elf had already flown in with a few spirit seeds. The ice elf sat on Duanzai's forehead and didn't leave until Duanzai woke up. It was probably because the fire elf went to find the spirit seed and the ice elf protected him while he was sleeping. Ah, ah, ah. The fire elf gave the spirit seed to Duanzai and shouted, "I'm not lazy, okay?" Duanzai said weakly. The fire elf just said that he was a lazy bug. In order to maintain the face of the master, he naturally had to refute it. Ah, ah, ah. The fire elf also knew this lazy master very well, so he didn't continue to complain, but flapped his wings to continue looking for spirit seeds. Ah, ah, ah. The ice elf shouted and flew over with the fire elf. After all, the work of protecting Duanzai had been completed. Duanzai naturally couldn't be lazy anymore. After spending an afternoon, Duanzai found a super surprise. This super surprise was a top grade fire soul seed, the desert purple flame. This flame has been recorded as a super soul seed with a 4.5-fold enhancement effect. It stands to reason that the spirit seed is 1 to 2 times the enhancement and the soul seed is around 2 to 6. But the desert purple flame has a 6.5 times strengthening effect, which can be regarded as a weaker heavenly seed, but in essence it is a soul seed. Duanzai walked towards the desert purple flame with a grin. Now he is invincible at the same level, right? Duanzai looked like a pervert who saw a super beautiful girl at this moment. The hundreds of meters of the desert purple flame are all powerful purple fire fields. Ordinary commander level creatures can't stand it, and general level creatures may be burned to ashes by this purple flame in an instant. But Duanzai is different. Once the magic dragon armor is worn, Ziyan can't hurt Duanzai at all, because the magic dragon armor is made by a monarch level magic dragon. Although the desert purple flame is very strong, there is still a big gap. The flames around the desert purple flame gradually gathered and then rushed towards the fully armed Duanzai. But all this was in vain. Duanzai found a purple soul seed under the impact of the purple flame. This soul seed is the body of the desert purple flame. And Duanzai could feel that this desert purple flame was very unhappy because desert purple flame felt that Duanzai was cheating. It was a one-on-one match, but you were wearing armor? What about the trust between people and souls? Duanzai could sense the emotions of desert purple flame, but he didn't care. Then let's see whether his natural golden flame is stronger or desert purple flame is stronger. With this idea in mind, Duanzai released a little bit of golden flame from his palm. As soon as desert purple flame touched the golden flame, it instantly retracted the purple flame into the soul seed. because it can feel the extremely terrifying breath in this golden flame, which makes the flame sincerely convinced. It's as if the golden flame is the absolute king of all flames. The result is clear at a glance. His own golden flame is very strong. Spiritual world. Duanzai easily absorbed the desert purple flame. How to say it? It should be said, that desert purple flame couldn't wait to let him absorb it. If it was a girl, this desert purple flame must be a passionate and unrestrained woman. Duanzai smiled after opening his eyes, but he soon stopped smiling. It was not because he saw something horrible, but because Kayan had also broken through to the soul seed level. And it was a fourfold strengthening effect. Fuck. Duanzai was ecstatic, but because he was too excited, Duanzai performed an awkward dance. Anyway, no one was watching, so he also released his joy to the fullest. Excuse me, what are you doing? Suddenly a soft and cute voice said. Duanzai's expression froze, then he slowly stood up and looked back. There were two beautiful girls and a boy. Duanzai felt that he was already dead, but he must not show it. Who are you? Duanzai said calmly, like a man of sage time. Were you dancing just now? A beautiful girl said. Puff. The boy next to the girl laughed out loud and then immediately stopped laughing at Duanzai's expressionless face. Who are you? Duanzai continued. You were dancing just now. Who are you? Duanzai interrupted the girl and said. We are students of the Imperial Capital College, and we are here for training today. Another girl spoke up. This girl was very beautiful and wore glasses. Oh, I'm from Mingzhu College. Duanzai tilted his head and said. The students of the Imperial Capital College are very confident to come here for training. However, the selection of talents by the Imperial Capital College is indeed much stricter than that of Mingzhu College. Mingzhu College, the boy said. Mingzhu College is also one of the top super famous schools, but it is still pressed down by their Imperial Capital College and rubbed wantonly. The strength of their alma mater makes the boy feel superior. My name is Zhu Wenwen, a sophomore at the Imperial Capital College. The girl with glasses spoke. My name is Duanzai, a freshman at Mingzhu College. Duanzai said calmly. My name is Zhao. Excuse me, were you dancing just now? Zhao continued to say after introducing herself. Doesn't this guy know how to read the atmosphere? Duanzai was extremely furious, but he couldn't blame him. Zian, don't say it. Hello, my name is Pan Xinglang, said the boy who just smiled and stopped Zhao from asking further. This guy is very sensible, but I still feel like I'm going to die. Suddenly the fire elf and the ice elf came back playing. The fire elf is not afraid of strangers, so he generously gave the spirit seeds he found to Duanzai. But when the ice elf saw the stranger, he immediately hid in Duanzai's clothes and watched quietly. They are elemental elves, right? The boy said with envy. There are many elemental creatures in the world, but elves among elemental creatures are even rarer. The boy in front of him has ice elves and fire elves. Did this guy save the world? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82 Zhu Wenwen. So cute. Zhu Wenwen said as she looked at the fire elf and the ice elf. These two little guys looked too cute. Zhu Wenwen wanted to touch the fire elf. Seeing Zhu Wenwen's hand, the fire elf quickly dodged and then hugged his arms and looked at Zhu Wenwen with dissatisfaction and shouted, ah, ah, ah. The fire elf was complaining that Zhu Wenwen was rude because she only allowed Duanzai and Billy to touch her and she did not allow anyone else. Zhu Wenwen felt the fire elf's emotions and smiled and said, she is so cute, so I can't help but want to touch her. I'm sorry. After listening to Zhu Wenwen's apology, the fire elf took the ice elf's hand and continued to look for spirit seeds. My name is Kinming. At this time, the boy next to the girl spoke. Hello. Duanzai also said politely. Did your elemental elf go to find spirit seeds? Kinming looked at Duanzai and said curiously, because he just saw the fire elf and the ice elf holding the spirit seeds and handing them to the boy in front of him. Well, they are elemental elves, so they have a strong sense of elemental fluctuations and magic fluctuations, and then it is easy to find spirit seeds. Duanzai did not hide it. After all, the 3 people in front of him were not enough to fight the fire elves. Duanzai's words made the 3 people envious. The fire elves and ice elves are super cute. Isn't it good to be able to look good and capable? By the way, are you here to experience? Duanzai said with a little pride when looking at the 3 people who envied him. Well, I came here to experience. After all, the sand monsters here are very suitable for experience. Zhao Yanran said. Although the school can also use summoning creatures to fight, they are still not as powerful as wild monsters. Duanzai nodded and agreed with Zhao Yanran's idea. After all, he came here because he could experience. Then Zhu Wen proposed the idea of going together. Duanzai agreed. After all, he would not move forward for the time being because there are still many spirit seeds here. By the way, brother, you should be a mid-level mage, right? Kinming said at this time, because only mid-level mages can come here. After all, the sand monsters here are all at the level of generals, so it is difficult for a beginner mage to come here. Yeah. Summoning system and fire system. Duanzai said casually. Anyway, his summoning system is indeed mid-level. Not bad. Kinming patted Duanzai on the shoulder and said, he is a carefree person, so he really thinks Duanzai is very good. Kinming continued, if we can deal with a few more sand monsters, our border guards can also be a little easier. His brother is a border guard, so he knows the hard work of these border guards after all. In fact, he wants to join the army, but his brother said that there is a selection of the national team in the university, let him be selected, and then defeat the top students of other countries, then their entire country will get a lot of resources reward. Therefore, the competition of the national team is very important to every country. Kinming's brother knows that his younger brother is average except for his better talent. Instead of guarding the border, it is better to join the national team to win more benefits. Duanzai had a good impression of this guy after hearing what Kinming said. This guy actually thought so. That's right. Let's lighten the burden for these heroes. Duanzai also smiled and patted Kinming's shoulder. Yeah. Kinming also liked Duanzai very much. Not only was he handsome, but he also felt that Duanzai was a person worth looking forward to. Zhao Yanran and Zhu Wen looked at each other and smiled. I didn't expect Kinming to get along with Duanzai, who had just met, unexpectedly. In the eyes of the 2 girls, Duanzai and Kinming went to look for sand monsters with their arms around each other. Stupid. Don't you have a potion? Zhao Yanran couldn't help but say. The so-called potion is a liquid that can attract sand monsters. Kinming was stunned for a moment and then slapped his head and said, yes, there is also a potion. Duanzai can probably guess what the so-called potion is. Duanzai saw Kinming throw a bottle of potion directly to the ground. A strange smell floated in the wind. You idiot. You all fell at once. Be careful that the sand monster will kill you. Zhao Yanran ran over and said, it's okay. I will deal with them all. Kinming said seriously. This guy is unexpectedly handsome. Duanzai thought so. I'm worried about you. Zhao Yanran muttered. It's okay. The 3 of us can definitely deal with these sand monsters. Zhu Wen pushed her glasses and said seriously. Duanzai suddenly felt very happy. He felt that Kinming and the other 3 were very charismatic. Roar. The first sand monster attacked. This sand monster rushed towards them quickly on all fours. Fierce fist. Blue flames burst out of Kinming's body, and then the huge flaming fist directly swallowed the sand monster. Duanzai saw the sand monster quickly turned into ashes. This Kinming should be very strong among the same level. If Kinming hadn't been injured before, he could have defeated Muningsu. Zhao Yanran suddenly said. Huh? Muningsu? Duanzai said after a moment of stunned. It seems that you know her too. Zhao Yanran looked at Duanzai and then said with a sour face. After all, Muningsu is a super beauty. It's normal that you know her. Is she strong? Duanzai tilted his head and asked curiously. He really didn't know how strong Muningsu was. She is very strong, but Kinming should be able to beat her if he wasn't injured. Zhu Wenwen also spoke up. She still couldn't accept the fact that Kinming didn't beat Muningsu. Muningsu knew that Kinming was injured, but that woman didn't feel the slightest bit of guilt. She should feel ashamed for such a victory. Well, she has a cold personality, so if she offends you in any way, please bear with me, Duan Xiao said. He was still on Muningsu's side, and the three of them were also people who could communicate. From what you said, is your relationship very special? Zhao Yanran said in surprise. Although she felt that Duan Xiao was bragging, there was no need for such a handsome boy to lie, right? And it was a lie that was easily exposed. It should be okay, right? After all, I invited her to dinner not long ago, Duan Xiao said, after thinking for a while. He felt that he and Muningsu should have a good relationship, but Muningsu might just use him as a shield. Oh, invite Muningsu to dinner? It seems that the relationship is really good, Zhu Wenwen said. She had never seen Muningsu eat with other students. The sand monsters are coming. Kinming shook his head and said, thank you Achaha Bookworm for the reward. Thank you, boss. Chapter 83 Battle. Kinming's reminder made Duan Xiao and the other two stop talking. The sand monsters seemed to be numerous. Duan Xiao frowned. Most of these sand monsters were at the level of generals, and they were at the same level as Kinming and the other two. But at first glance, there were more than 10 of them. It is difficult for ordinary mages of the same level to defeat monsters of the same level. But these three people looked calm and confident. Are they sure? Duan Xiao thought silently. But red flames broke out from the group of sand monsters. These dozens of sand monsters were instantly engulfed by the flames. Duan Xiao could see it at a glance that it was the flame of the fire spirit. But Kinming and the other three did not see it. When Kinming saw the sand monsters being reduced to ashes by the world, his first thought was that they had encountered a demon at the level of a commander, and it looked like it had a very bad temper. As a top student of the Imperial Capital Academy, he immediately made a judgment. Run separately. This way, some people can survive. Kinemo said seriously and with eyes that Duan Xiao was going to say. Don't say anything, this is a really good suggestion. Kinming looked at Duan Xiao and said he was a little worried that Duan Xiao would say that he would stop the demons. That would be unfair. Duan Xiao was interrupted by Zhu Wenwen when he was about to speak again. That's it. That's right. Zhao Yanran also thought it was good. After all, it would be worthless if the whole army was annihilated. Looking at the appearance of these three people, he suddenly felt that he couldn't say it. If these people knew that their summoned beasts were stronger than the three of them, they would probably be stimulated, right? But why do they feel so proud? Suddenly, a figure with red flames rushed over. Kinming felt that he was really too confident because this figure was very fast, and he was afraid that even if they fled separately, they would be killed one by one, right? Kinemo felt that he was already very strong, so he chose to come here to train and brought two friends with him, but this time he hurt them. After the fire spirit dispersed the flame, she held a piece of fire spirit seed and cried in dissatisfaction. Just now, she was almost crushed by the sand demon when she just picked up the fire spirit seed. How could she, with her bad temper, tolerate the stinky feet of the sand demon? So she directly wiped out the group of sand demons. Why is it your contracted spirit? Kinming said blankly. Good guy, do you think you should be weak? The fire spirit stuffed the spirit seed into Duan Xiao's hand. Then he flew in front of Kinming, put his hands on his waist, and looked at Kinming in dissatisfaction and shouted, do you want to fight? Duan Xiao didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so he held the fire spirit with his hand, and looked at Kinming and said, the fire spirit is very strong. The fire spirit stayed in Duan Xiao's palm honestly without struggling. No wonder you dare to come here, Kinming said silently. But soon Kinming looked at Duan Xiao and said, I will defeat your fire spirit in the selection of the national team. Kinming is a person who will not admit defeat. If he loses this time, he can win next time. Duan Xiao was stunned for a moment when he heard Kinming's words. To defeat him, at least he had to be a superclass magician. Of course, if he used the power of an angel or a fallen angel, he had to have power above the forbidden spell level. There is a long way to go. Well, I hope you can defeat me. Duanzai tilted his head and said. After a while, the killer monsters continued to attack Duanzai and his friends. Can you show me your true strength? Kinming felt that someone who could subdue a creature like the fire elf must be a strong person, so to defeat Duanzai, he had to understand his strength. Zhao Yanran also looked at Duanzai seriously. This young man had both good looks and strength. Zhu Wenwen pushed her glasses and looked at Duanzai seriously. Seeing this, Duanzai chuckled and said, "Don't be scared." Kinming cheered up and looked at Duanzai, and so did Zhu Wenwen and Zhao Yanran. Fire elf. Duanzai said seriously. Ah. The fire elf crashed into Duanzai's chest. Red flames rushed out of Duanzai's body. Kinming is a fire mage, so he can clearly know that this red flame is comparable to the flame of Soul Seed. A mid-level mage with Soul Seed level flame is simply invincible in the same level. But the colorful and gorgeous flame gradually appeared. This is also a Soul Seed level flame. At the moment, when Kinming was surprised, the gorgeous purple flame also appeared. This is one of the strongest Soul Seed level flames in the record of Desert Purple Flame. It is definitely a super treasure that is priceless. Fire spirits, ice spirits, colorful Soul Seed flames. Is Desert Purple Flame a super rich man? But a golden flame also wrapped around Duanzai's body and surged out. Is this also a Soul Seed level flame? And is it stronger than Desert Purple Flame? Kinming saw Desert Purple Flame remain humble in front of the golden flame. If there was no golden flame, he would still think he could compete with Duanzai. But when the golden flame appeared, he knew that the boy in front of him could not be defeated by him. I'm afraid that even Munixa can't defeat others. Duanzai looked at the group of sand monsters seriously. The stars connected into star tracks, and the star tracks quickly formed a star map. Colored flame sky Roth red flame desert purple flame fierce fist 9 palaces. Duanzai punched the ground. In an instant, the ground under the feet of the sand monsters turned into magma. The sand monsters were terrified because they all smelled the breath of death. But the 9 majestic flames showed the pattern of the 9 palaces and instantly devoured the sand monsters like 9 world-destroying divine fires. Is this a power that people can have? Zhao Yanran murmured to herself, because Duanzai's attack made her feel like she was a piece of paper, a piece of white paper that could be swallowed by flames. Duanzai's face turned black. Is this saying that he is not a human? Kinming opened his mouth slightly and looked at the natural disaster scene. In an instant, the area of hundreds of meters turned into magma. He also wanted to have such power. The ice elf flew to Duanzai and called curiously. She didn't know what happened. Please freeze there. Duanzai said happily. The ice elf looked at the bubbling magma, nodded, and flew over. Looking at the petite figure of the ice elf, Kinming thought that the ice elf would be roasted by the heat emitted by the magma, right? The ice elf raised its arm slightly and waved it at the magma. Crack, crack, crack. The original magma was gradually frozen. If you want to say, the ice elf is stronger than the fire elf. Duanzai looked at Kinming and said, after all, the ice elf eats the higher level spirit seeds from the ice and snow queen plane every day. Chapter 84 Rock Breakthrough. The primary magic of the rock system is the ground wave, which is divided into 3 levels: displacement, slowness, and sinking. The intermediate magic of the rock system is the rock barrier, which is also level 3. The high level magic of the rock system is the eye of the rock demon. The first level is petrification, the second level is the earth dragon thorn, and the third level is the sand of the sky. Although Duanzai thought that the second system he might break through might be the wind system and the thunder system, he unexpectedly broke through the rock system. Could it be that the desert is very helpful for the cultivation of the rock system? But Duanzai is still very happy. Since the rock system has broken through, then go forward a little to find out if there are any soul seeds of the rock system. But because they have to move forward, Duanzai decided to say goodbye to Zhao Yanran, Kinming, and Zhu Wenwen. After all, their strength here is barely okay, but if they move forward, it will be the territory of the command level creatures, which is not something the 3 of them can deal with. Kinming said goodbye to Duanzai with a wry smile, because he felt that the gap between him and Duanzai was too big, so big that he even doubted it. Duanzai moved forward slowly. About half a day later, he encountered the first commander level creature, a desert medusa. That is, the Gorgon. Although it looks good at first glance, it is still quite scary when you look closely. Eyes of rock demon petrification. Duanzai used the high level rock magic the moment he encountered the Gorgon. The Gorgon turned into a stone statue just as she was about to move. Although this kind of demon has a higher resistance to rock magic, Duanzai's star has been strengthened 4 times. It is a rich man, so the Gorgon will take some time to get rid of the petrification. After all, she is a creature that inherited the bloodline of the emperor level creature Medusa, so it will take some time to get rid of the petrification. But it is obvious that Duanzai will not let the Gorgon Medusa remove the rock magic. Escape shadow. Duanzai used the primary magic of the shadow system to get out of the shadow of the Gorgon. Crack. Duanzai smashed the Gorgon statue with one punch. The poor Gorgon died just because she looked at Duanzai for one more second. Of course, if Duanzai was weaker than the Gorgon, then Duanzai would definitely be the one to die. Although the Gorgon likes to eat girls, she doesn't mind eating a handsome boy. Since there are Gorgons here, the area nearby should be considered an area of commander level creatures. The next thing to fight is the monsters of the same level as himself. Duanzai felt excited. Although he was almost invincible at the same level, he didn't know if there were any monsters that could defeat him at the same level. The fire elves and ice elves were still looking for spirit seeds. Duanzai asked the fire elves and ice elves to travel together for fear of accidents. Of course, the fire elves and ice elves are both relatively strong among the commander level creatures. In this area, they are very safe as long as they are not besieged. Duanzai began to kill. In fact, even the commander level creatures could not withstand the attack of his angel sword, so the current situation was that he solved a commander level creature with one sword. Among these creatures, there were sand demons, gorgons, and a demon called Strange Sand Scorpion was also killed by him with one sword. Suddenly he felt a trace of extremely pure rock magic, as if it was the source of the power of the rock system. Duanzai quickly searched for it along the breath of magic. Roar. Duanzai saw a desert pseudo-dragon roaring and tearing off the Gorgon in front of him, but the Gorgon did not die instantly, but continued to bite the pseudo-dragon angrily. The desert pseudo-dragon crushed the body of the Gorgon with one foot. Then a fist-sized grey-white thing flashed in front of the desert pseudo-dragon. Duanzai became excited instantly, and even his body couldn't help shaking. This is the core of the earth. As long as you have it, you can protect at least one city, but how much protection you can provide depends on the energy in it. The pseudo-dragon obviously wanted to devour the core of the earth, to complete its evolution into a dragon. If it succeeds, it will become a demon of the monarch level. We must not let it succeed. Duanzai's magic dragon armor instantly appeared on his body. The desert pseudo-dragon felt the extremely terrifying dragon breath, and just turned around to see a sharp claw emitting black light appear in front of him. Puff! The head of the desert pseudo-dragon was instantly pierced by Duanzai's claws. Duanzai appeared in front of the core of the earth and quickly picked up the core of the earth. He saw a large number of spirit seeds and soul seeds beside the core of the earth. Of course, they were all earth-type spirit seeds and soul seeds. Duanzai called the fire elves and ice elves to quickly collect these soul seeds and spirit seeds. Suddenly, a bad wind came. Duanzai grabbed the ice elves and fire elves and protected them. Bang! A dull sound came, and Duanzai was instantly knocked away. Then Duanzai's previous position was a desert rock tiger. This desert rock tiger is a monarch level creature, not only strong, but also has terrifying defense. A height of 5 meters is only considered small among the monarch level creatures. But this desert rock tiger is definitely a top level existence among the monarch level creatures. If the ice elves and fire elves had not been protected just now, they would probably have been killed directly by the desert rock tiger. Duanzai took the ice elves and fire elves back to the contract space, because the next battle was not something they could participate in. Of course, Duanzai did not intend to fight this desert rock tiger, because he wanted to take the core of the earth back, and with it, he could relieve a lot of pressure. Swoosh! Duanzai flapped his dragon wings, and rushed into the sky in an instant to go back. The core of the earth would attract the supreme monarch creature. Such a creature would be difficult for Duanzai to defeat unless he used the power of angels and the power of fallen angels. Yin. Suddenly a black shadow passed through the clouds and hit Duanzai's body. Bang. Duanzai fell heavily on the ground. A huge pit was instantly smashed out of the ground. Duanzai looked up and saw a creature with huge wings of hundreds of meters. Death Demon Eagle. Monarch level creatures may soon reach the level of supreme monarchs. Although the Death Eagle often fights with the Desert Tiger, this time they plan to form a temporary alliance in front of the core of the earth. As long as they kill this human and seize the core of the earth, they can become a true god. Both humans and other creatures must kneel down and worship. Duanzai does not plan to run away, because with the Death Eagle, he cannot escape. Of course, he does not plan to use the power of angels and fallen angels, because there may be monarch level creatures that attack human cities, because of the core of the earth, and at that time he will have to rely on his own power of angels and fallen angels for a few minutes. Chapter 85 Desert Rock Tiger. Duanzai stood in the pit and looked at the Death Eagle and the Desert Rock Tiger that was staring at him on the ground. He couldn't escape, but he should be able to kill these two guys with his powerful recovery ability. And now the two guys can be hurt by the fire and rock. And the Snow Queen told Duanzai that she would not intervene unless he was dying, which means that the Snow Queen would not intervene until Duanzai was beaten half to death. The conditions were a bit harsh, so Duanzai didn't expect the help of the Snow Queen. At this time, the Desert Rock Tiger rushed towards Duanzai. The battle of demons is so wild, but it is very effective. Duanzai also stepped on the ground and shot out. Duanzai's speed was faster than the Desert Rock Tiger. Roar. The Desert Rock Tiger's claws slapped Duanzai. Duanzai didn't dodge, but directly grabbed the Desert Rock Tiger's claws and threw it to the ground. Bang. The Desert Rock Tiger was a little confused. It was a demon. A demon with an extremely powerful body. Just now, he was thrown to the ground by a petite human with brute force. A huge sound rang out in the desert. The huge body of the Desert Rock Tiger smashed a huge pit on the ground. The Desert Rock Tiger with a swollen head felt that the whole world was shaking again. Duanzai would not wait for the Desert Rock Tiger to wake up. Duanzai's claws with black light pierced the Desert Rock Tiger's body directly. Scarlet blood gushed out. Roar. The severe pain made the Desert Rock Tiger wake up, and the Desert Rock Tiger roared. Duanzai felt like his head was hit by a sledgehammer. Nosebleed flowed out instantly. The Desert Rock Tiger slapped Duanzai's chest with a claw. Duanzai flew backwards instantly and plowed a long gully in the desert. Yin. The Death Demon Eagle saw the right time and launched an attack. The Death Demon Eagle flapped its wings fiercely. In an instant, dense wind blades flew towards Duanzai. A wind blade can cut hundreds of meters of marks on the ground. Dang. Duanzai was hit by a wind blade. But soon Duanzai used Escape Shadow and appeared behind the Desert Rock Tiger. The Desert Rock Tiger turned back and bit Duanzai. Rock Demonized Petrification. Duanzai used high-level rock magic. If it was ordinary high-level magic, it would naturally not hurt the Desert Rock Tiger, but Duanzai was a person who strengthened the Star Child 4 times. So even the Desert Rock Tiger was instantly petrified. Sky Flame Funeral. The gorgeous flame petals fell down. Crack. The Desert Rock Tiger broke through the petrification. But the sky full of flame petals instantly surrounded the Desert Rock Tiger. One of the petals touched the Desert Rock Tiger's fur. The extremely hard fur was instantly burned, and even the Desert Rock Tiger's meat was roasted a little bit. It realized that it would die if it continued like this. Roar. The Desert Rock Tiger roared again. Although Duanzai was more vigilant this time, he still fell into a dizziness. The Desert Rock Tiger wanted to escape to the periphery of the Sky Flame Funeral, but the two giant shadow spikes controlled its shadow and prevented it from escaping. The Desert Rock Tiger instantly broke free from the giant shadow spikes, but a large number of petals also fell on it. In an instant, the Desert Rock Tiger's fur was burned, and its skin was exposed. Roar, 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 roar. The Desert Rock Tiger roared in pain. Go to hell. Duanzai summoned the Angel Sword and cut off the Desert Rock Tiger's head. Duanzai's nosebleed could not stop flowing out. Duanzai looked up at the Death Demon Eagle and wiped his nosebleed and gave the Death Demon Eagle a middle finger. Duanzai understood that this guy knew what he meant. Sure enough, the death demon eagle's eyes became sharper. Yin. The death demon eagle screamed. The overwhelming wind blades instantly flew towards Duanzai, as if to cut him into pieces. Duanzai roared, then held the angel sword and swung it. The gorgeous flame dragon attacked the death demon eagle. The wind blades along the way were swallowed by the gorgeous flame dragon. The death eagle was bitten by the flame dragon instantly. Bang! The dragon exploded instantly, and the death eagle staggered and fell to the ground because of the explosion. When Duanzai saw the death eagle clearly, it was already covered in blood and exuded the smell of roasted chicken. Duanzai felt a little dizzy, and his fire magic and rock magic were almost exhausted. Escape. Duanzai rushed out of the shadow of the death eagle instantly. Puff. The angel sword pierced into the body of the death eagle. Bang. The death eagle kicked Duanzai's chest and said. Duanzai was kicked away. This time Duanzai smashed into an exposed rock formation. Although the magic dragon armor blocked most of the force, Duanzai's ribs were still broken. And he also heard the sound of the magic dragon armor breaking. Looking down at the chest, some small cracks appeared. Suddenly Duanzai felt that the magic dragon armor absorbed a little of his magic energy, and then these tiny cracks disappeared. It is worthy of the armor made by the elves to have recovery power. But Duanzai is a little helpless. Wouldn't it be better for you to absorb the magic energy of the thunder system? He had to absorb the magic energy of the fire system. He planned to save the magic energy and then give the death eagle a fatal blow. Duanzai exhaled lightly and then rushed towards the death eagle in an instant. Relying on the huge power brought by the magic dragon armor, he could still cause damage to the death eagle. But the death eagle was not afraid of Duanzai at all compared to strength. One man and one eagle started a crazy battle, bloody and rough. Duanzai stabbed the death eagle with a sword, and then the death eagle would also go crazy and cause damage to Duanzai. Miss, someone is fighting the death eagle and the desert rock tiger in the Taklamakan desert. A polite young man looked at the white-haired girl in front of him and said, "Oh, challenging two monarch level demons at the same time. Is this person very strong?" The white-haired girl smiled and said, "That person is Duanzai." The polite young man thought for a while and said, "Well, is it him?" The white-haired girl tilted her head and said, "Is there anything there that is worth this fight?" From the satellite, it is probably the core of the earth. The polite young man said seriously, "I want a city that belongs to me." The white-haired girl smiled and said, "Yes, I know. Then do you want to kill Duanzai?" The polite young man looked at the white-haired girl and said, "Generally speaking, the core of the earth should be handed over to the country, and it was Duanzai who discovered the core of the earth. If Duanzai wants to make trouble, it will be very troublesome, so he thinks killing Duanzai is the best plan. If you can, just give it a try." The white-haired girl said to the polite young man with a playful look. Chapter 86. Is it an accident? When the polite young man saw Duanzai, he found that he was lying on the ground, which made him a little confused about Duanzai's situation. He would be very happy if Duanzai died. But unfortunately, Duanzai climbed up from the ground. "I haven't come out for a long time." Duanzai said something that had been suppressed for a long time, as if he was a person who had been imprisoned for a long time. Duanzai rubbed his head and smiled at the death eagle whose head was chopped off. "The death eagle is very strong. Do you want to attack me?" Duanzai turned his head and grinned at the polite young man with an arrogant expression. At this time, the polite young man's hands were emitting flames. "Yeah, that's right." The polite young man looked at Duanzai's arrogant smile in front of him and said. He felt that Duanzai seemed different and became arrogant. "Do you think you are qualified?" Duanzai said with a playful smile. Duanzai now looks extremely relaxed, as if defeating the desert rock tiger and the death eagle did not make him feel tired. The polite young man frowned and said, "I thought you were a modest person, but I didn't expect you to be a person who swells up because of your power. Ah la la. Is that so? But I'm telling the truth. And I'll tell you one thing, I like this body the most, so if you want to hurt this body, I will kill you without hesitation." Duanzai tilted his head and said, like an infomaniac, "I don't know why." The polite young man said, and punched Duanzai. "I'm going to kill you." Hehe. Duanzai's handsome face showed a sick smile. The magic dragon armor instantly covered his whole body. Then Duanzai rushed forward. The claws of the magic dragon armor instantly tore the young man's attack. Duanzai appeared next to the young man almost instantly. The polite young man frowned and wanted to distance himself, but a large number of dark arms suddenly appeared on the ground and grabbed his feet, making him unable to move. Hehe. Duanzai's sick chuckle rang out, and then his claws grabbed the polite young man. The polite young man used light magic. Several light shields instantly appeared in front of the polite young man's body. Crack. But Duanzai's claws directly broke the light shields. Puff. A huge scar was scratched on the young man's chest by Duanzai's claws. But the young man also broke free. The moment he broke free, the young man pulled away from Duanzai, because Duanzai was now more terrifying than a demon. The polite young man knew why the girl valued Duanzai so much, because this boy was very strong and could kill himself. In the distance, the white-haired girl quietly watched the battle between Duanzai and the polite young man. She was a little confused because she felt that Duanzai was not the same boy as before. Did he change? Or was the whole person replaced by something? Take me to the battlefield. The white-haired girl said casually. Yes, miss. A woman appeared beside the white-haired girl, and the silver light flashed gently. The woman and the white-haired girl disappeared instantly. The white-haired girl and the woman appeared in front of Duanzai together. The white-haired girl looked at Duanzai and said, "You said you wanted to be my dog. Hey? I don't know what you're talking about, but the evil gods should be quite happy to kill you." Duanzai tilted his head and said, "Evil gods? Are you from the evil god cult?" The white-haired girl frowned and said she was sure that Duanzai's body had been replaced by something else. "That's right. I'm a saint." Duanzai grinned and said to the white-haired girl, "One of Hu Taomeng's unique abilities is that she can coexist with the person who killed her, which means that when Duanzai killed her, she already existed in Duanzai's body. However, the dominant power is in Duanzai's hands, and she can only run out when Duanzai is unconscious or asleep. This time, Duanzai lost consciousness the moment he defeated the Death Eagle because he was too tired. Then Hu Taomeng appeared. Unbelievable. But your evil cult is really disgusting." The white-haired girl frowned and said, "If Duanzai becomes an enemy, it will definitely be very troublesome." "Hey. Thank you for the compliment." Duanzai stepped on the ground and rushed towards the white-haired girl in an instant. Duanzai's current Hu Taomeng is like a spear, moving forward with unparalleled momentum. "Miss, I will take you away." The woman looked at the white-haired girl and said, "Defeat him." The white-haired girl had no intention of leaving. She wanted to solve the danger in front of her here. In an instant, 5 black shadows appeared beside the boy and rushed towards Duanzai. They were all super class mages. Duanzai was blocked. However, the chest of one of the super class mages was pierced by Duanzai's claws. But because of the attacks of others, Hu Taomeng quickly pulled away, so the mage whose chest was pierced was healed by a healing mage. Hu Taomeng tilted her head and planned to use the angel sword, but found that she could not summon it. She was a little disappointed. If she could summon it, she could deal with these people. Hu Taomeng tilted her head and said, "Great evil gods, please give me the power to defeat these maggots." Suddenly, a strange dark green symbol appeared on Duanzai's perfect face, making him look even more mysterious and powerful. The white-haired girl looked at the person in front of her seriously. "Then are you willing to join the evil god cult?" Hu Taomeng looked at Bing Fengxin again and said that it was the evil god who asked her to do so just now, but she was more inclined to kill this girl. TSK. Disgusting. Kill her. Bing Fengxin frowned and said that she would not go along with the people of the evil god cult, but the evil god like Hu Taomeng easily defeated Bing Fengxin's men. Hu Taomeng walked towards Bing Fengxin step by step. The white-haired girl had no intention of retreating, because even if she had to die with dignity. But when she walked in front of the white-haired girl, Hu Taomeng said softly, "It would have taken just one more second." Bing Fengxin saw the strange symbol on Duanzai's face disappear instantly. Then her eyes closed, but soon opened. "Oh my god. Why are you here?" Duanzai couldn't help but take a step back when he saw Bing Fengxin. Duanzai is not dead. Does that mean Hu Tao Meng can only come out because Duan Zioi lost consciousness? Bing Fengxin began to speculate. I'm here to save you. Bing Fengxin stepped forward and leaned on Duan Zioi's chest and said, Chapter 87 Success. The moment Bing Fengxin leaned on Duan Zioi pulled away and instinctively touched the core of the earth in his arms. It was not there. Did it fall? Here with me, Bing Fengxin said with a sweet smile while holding the core of the earth, as if she was playing with Duan Zioi. Hand it over. I found it. Duan Zioi approached Bing Fengxin and said, the core of the earth is a treasure that can protect a city. What's yours is mine. Bing Fengxin looked at Duan Zioi and said confidently without a trace of guilt, my relationship with you is not good. Give it to me quickly. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Duan Zioi looked at Bing Fengxin and said seriously, you can try. Bing Fengxin looked at Duan Zioi calmly and said. Duan Zioi was just about to act, but in an instant, all 7 people surrounded him. These 7 people are all super class mages. Although they were just beaten by the evil god Hu Taomeng, Duan Zioi, who is now exhausted and whose magic power has not yet recovered, cannot win. However, he does not want to hand it over to Bing Fengxin in vain. Well, I will build a city of my own here, so you decide what to do. Bing Fengxin tilted her head and looked at Duan Zioi and said, as if she didn't care if Duan Zioi took the core of the earth now. Duan Zioi clearly understood what the girl was saying. If this girl built a city here, then relying on the girl's ability would be enough to block the demon group of monarch level, which would be very safe for ordinary people. Then I'll give it to you reluctantly. Duan Zioi sat on the ground to rest after he finished speaking. Looking at the corpse of the death god demon eagle, he smiled and became a strong man. In this way, he can protect more people. Bing Fengxin walked behind Duan Zioi and gently sat beside Duan Zioi and then leaned on Duan Zioi's shoulder. Duan Zioi wanted to move away. He didn't want to have a good relationship with Bing Fengxin. This girl was too dangerous. If you get out of my way, I will build 1 kilometer less. Bing Fengxin obviously knew the weakness of Duan Zioi, an idealist, so she said softly. Sure enough, Duan Zioi did not move. Duan Zioi pursed his lips and said, do you like me? I like it. I like the earth core you gave me. Bing Fengxin leaned on Duan Zioi's shoulder and closed her eyes. Duan Zioi's face darkened when he heard this. He could hear the girl's breathing gradually becoming even. This guy fell asleep again. Duan Zioi actually felt that he was quite indulgent to this girl, but this girl was indeed worthy of indulgence. The lady hasn't slept for a day and a night. A woman took a thin quilt and covered Duan Zioi and Bing Fengxin. She has been very serious about solving the problem of demons. The woman whispered again. I won't bully her. Duan Zioi couldn't help but said sullenly. Hearing Duan Zioi's words, the woman smiled helplessly. Young man, you are being held tightly by your own lady. About 3 hours later, Bing Fengxin slowly woke up. The moment she got up from Duan Zioi's shoulder in a daze, a strand of saliva began to flow. Duan Zioi felt something strange and turned around to see Bing Fengxin, who was still drooling. He felt that he shouldn't have turned around. Bing Fengxin calmly wiped her saliva with Duan Zioi's clothes and said, how are you going to die? Duan Zioi's mouth twitched slightly and then he said silently, it's not what I want to see, and this should be your problem, right? Sorry, it's my problem, but can't I bully you? Bing Fengxin pinched Duan Zioi's cheek and said. It was the first time she looked at Duan Zioi's face seriously. The manly or womanly look was indeed very cute, and the touch was also very good. Okay. He listened to the woman's words, so he indulged her a little. After all, this guy was also very hard. Bing Fengxin approached Duan Zioi and looked at Duan Zioi's pupils, which were very clear and beautiful. It's so ugly. Bing Fengxin pinched Duan Zioi's cheek hard and stood up and said, I'm ugly. Duan Zioi lay on the ground and squinted at the sky. He didn't want to move yet. He felt that he should sleep for more than a day when he got home. Why are you so lazy? Bing Fengxin said while sitting on Duan Zioi's belly. You're heavy, get up quickly. Duan Zioi couldn't help but say. Suddenly he remembered that he should go see Yi Xingxia. As for Zhang Xiaohao, he was in the army. He would go see him when he had a holiday. Are you unhappy? Bing Fengxin looked at him and said, how could I like it? I'm not a pervert. Duan Zioi couldn't help but say, does this girl think that the world revolves around her? I wanted to give you the stockings. I didn't expect you to dislike them. Bing Fengxin continued. Duan Zioi. Then do you want the original underwear? Still warm. Do you want it? Bing Fengxin continued. I don't want it. Although Duan Zioi said this, his thoughts drifted away. Teacher Tang Yu was wearing pure white lace that day. Oops. There will be strange performances. Get up quickly. Duan Zioi began to speak seriously. Oh. Reaction? Bing Fengxin tilted her head and looked at Duan Zioi like a little devil. Escape. Duan Zioi used magic and disappeared. Bing Fengxin sat down on the sand with her buttocks slightly puffed up. Goodbye. Duan Zioi said in the distance and then walked towards the city step by step. Bing Fengxin stood up and watched Duan Zioi slowly leave. Where did you go? Tang Yu said gently on the phone. In fact, she didn't know how to face Duan Zioi, but she sent her a message yesterday, but she didn't reply, which made her very anxious. But fortunately, she contacted her now. Sorry, the teacher's phone is turned off. Duan Zioi said casually. Hearing the name of teacher, Tang Yu's face turned red. By the way, this bastard also kept calling her teacher at that time. Did he like it so much? Is that so? Where are you? I'll treat you to a meal. Tang Yu said with a confused mind. Eat? Teacher, where are you now? Duan Zioi said. He didn't plan to tell Tang Yu that he was in the Taklamakan desert, otherwise Tang Yu would be worried. Hang Sao. Tang Yu said. I'll come to see you. And by the way, I'll go see Xingxia. Duan Zioi said, after thinking for a while. So Duan Zioi and Tang Yu agreed to meet in 3 days. Brother Fan, let's go see Xingxia together. Duan Zioi called Emo Fan and said. Emo Fan agreed very readily. So Duan Zioi went home to rest for a day and then went to see Emo Fan. The two of them went to see Xingxia together. But Duan Zioi still treated him badly. Thanks to Uchiha Bookworm for the reward, and thank you all for voting. Chapter 88 Zhejiang University. Xingxia, although you have a problem with your legs, I don't think you are a bother. A slightly handsome young man said while pushing Xingxia's wheelchair. Xingxia was helpless. She said she didn't need help, but the young man still pushed her enthusiastically. She felt that it was hard to refuse his kindness, but the way this guy spoke was so annoying. Is that Senior Li Xiang? So handsome. A girl said as she looked at the young man pushing Xingxia's wheelchair. The young man was Li Xiang, a mid-level mage with double violent magic of thunder and fire. He was a man with good talent and was very popular. Suddenly, Xingxia's cell phone rang. Xingxia took it out and saw that it was Duan Zioi. Before Xingxia could speak, Duan Zioi hurriedly said, Xingxia, the girls in your school are so enthusiastic. I feel like I'm going to be eaten. Duan Zioi was surrounded by a group of girls at this time. Are you a star? Or a trainee? Can we take a photo together? The moment the girl saw Duan Zioi, she felt like she had seen a god, and she wanted to sleep with this god. Sorry, I'm on the phone. Duan Zioi said with an awkward smile. Sorry. The girl also said hurriedly. Where are you? Xingxia said with a smile. She could feel Duan Zioi's embarrassment and discomfort. Just at the school gate. Duan Zioi said. Wait for me. Xingxia said. Xingxia hung up the phone after she finished speaking and then tried to be tactful and said, I won't bother you anymore. I'm going to meet my friend. It's okay. I'll go meet your friend too. I'm worried that you will be deceived. Li Xiang continued. He felt that the relationship between him and Xingxia was special, and this kind girl must like him. After all, he was very good to this girl. Xingxia had no choice but to agree to let Li Xiang push her to the school gate. A few minutes later, the moment Duan Zioi saw Xingxia, he excitedly ran over. But Li Xiang stepped in front of Duan Zioi and said, Xingxia is a disabled person. What do you want to do? Disabled person? Question mark? Duan Zioi was unhappy. He really hated people saying this in front of him. If you know, you don't need to say it. Don't you know that this might hurt her unintentionally? Anyway, Duan Zioi looked at the young man with naked unhappiness and said, I'm her friend. Get out of the way. The young man smiled slightly at Duan Zioi's unhappiness. Is he jealous of his relationship with Xingxia? Xingxia is also my friend, so I will protect her, and I think it's not safe for Xingxia to be with you. Li Xiang said seriously. He is your friend? Duan Zioi pushed Li Xiang away and looked at Li Xingxia and said, how could there be such a weird person? Since you doubt yourself? Li Xingxia nodded reluctantly and said, I guess so. Duan Zioi instantly understood that this young man might make Li Xingxia feel uncomfortable, but it is difficult for the kind-hearted Li Xingxia to say hurtful words. So now it's my turn to show up. Ahem. Boy, I tell you that I'm Xingxia's childhood sweetheart. So if you know what's good for you, get out of here. Duan Zioi imagined the fierce look of Mo Fan in the past and said viciously. Puff. Li Xingxia couldn't help laughing when she saw Duan Zioi shaking his legs and looking like a gangster. He was imitating too much. Be serious. Duan Zioi was stunned for a moment and then said, really, don't you know you are helping her? Cooperate. Humph. I'm a magician of lightning and fire. Li Xiang said with a smug expression, so Li Xingxia should choose him, right? After all, his future is bright, better than this little brat in front of him, right? So. And why are you talking about this suddenly? Are you stupid? Duan Zioi said blankly, unable to turn around. Why did he suddenly talk about magic? I want to fight you. Li Xiang said with a dark face. Stupid? This word is not used to describe himself. Boring. Duan Zioi said, and pushed Li Xingxia to leave. But Li Xiang's big hand grabbed Li Xingxia's hand. Duan Zioi instantly appeared in front of Li Xiang and slapped Li Xiang's claws away. What do you want to do? Duan Zioi's expression turned cold. Xingxia likes me. You have no right to interfere with us. Li Xiang said with a smile while looking at Duan Zioi. Hiss. The boy in front of senior Li Xiang is so handsome. A girl said in surprise. Yeah. He is countless times more handsome than senior Li Xiang. Hearing these words, Li Xiang's mentality exploded a little. You misunderstood. I never liked you. Li Xingxia looked at Li Xiang and said. Hearing Li Xingxia's answer, Li Xiang couldn't help but said loudly, are you kidding? You must like me. Okay. Have some self-knowledge, brother. Duan Zioi looked at Li Xiang and said. Get out. I'm not talking to you. Li Xiang said with love in his eyes. Do you want to fight? Duan Zioi tilted his head and said casually. This guy is too ignorant. I wish for it. Li Xiang was about to say loudly. Bang. Duan Zioi kicked Li Xiang away in an instant. Since he wanted to fight, he would strike first. Li Xiang fell to the ground in embarrassment. The people around him suddenly became quiet. No one thought that this handsome boy had such a violent side. You bastard. Li Xiang stood up. Fire fist. The huge flaming fist rushed towards Duan Zioi instantly. It's really boring. And you succeeded in irritating me. Duan Zioi's figure instantly rushed into the flaming fist. The colorful flame has the ability to absorb flames, so all the flames were absorbed by Duan Zioi. Don't you see that there are still many people here? Duan Zioi said, and then pinched Li Xiang's neck with one hand and lifted him up. Li Xiang felt that he was stared at by a giant dragon, and the fear in his heart made him tremble. Yes, I'm sorry, Li Xiang said tremblingly. Li Xiang felt that he might be killed by the boy in front of him. TSK. Duan Zioi put Li Xiang down and said, don't get close to Xingxia. Otherwise you should understand. Duan Zioi smiled kindly at Li Xiang. I won't get close to her again. Sorry, Li Xiang said hurriedly. Seeing this, Duan Zioi walked behind Li Xingxia and pushed her wheelchair away. I was scared by you just now. Li Xingxia almost couldn't help but scream just now because that was a mid-level magic. It can easily kill a person. It's okay. I'm very strong now. Duan Zioi said with a smile, signaling Li Xingxia not to worry about him. Yes. But you have to pay attention to safety. Li Xingxia reminded Duan Zioi. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89 Totem Beast. Duan Zioi, Li Xingxia and Tang Yu met at West Lake Park. Tang Yu talked non-stop as soon as she arrived. After all, this was her hometown. But soon Duanzai felt that the mist around him seemed to be getting thicker. The mist gradually spread. A black shadow loomed in the thick fog. Duanzai saw the black shadow gradually enlarged and penetrated the thick fog. A skyscraper giant snake overlooked Duanzai and the other three. In an instant, Duanzai felt that the breath of the giant snake in front of him was much more terrifying than the death eagle before. But this is Westlake. How could such a giant beast appear silently in human territory? Duanzai's heart beat violently. Mo Fan and Yi Xingxia froze instantly, but Tang Yu on the side showed a strange expression. Hiss. The skyscraper giant snake lowered its head. The target is Tang Yu. Duanzai pulled Tang Yu behind him and stared at the skyscraper giant snake and said, "What are you going to do?" Such a giant beast can understand what he is saying. The skyscraper giant snake also paused for a moment, and then as if it remembered something, it went into the thick fog. Duanzai could feel that the skyscraper giant snake had not left. So looking at Tang Yu, Mo Fan, and Yi Xingxia, the three said, "You go first." Duanzai was the only one who could stop the skyscraper giant snake here. Tang Yu leaned close to Duanzai and wanted to say something. "What are you talking about?" Mo Fan grabbed Duanzai's collar and said, after a hard-earned reunion, did he want his big brother to escape an embarrassment? It has no hostility, and this is a human world, and it seems to be very familiar with the appearance of this place. It lived here earlier than humans. Maybe we disturbed its hypnosis. Yi Xingxia said softly. She is a spiritual mage, so she can clearly sense the emotional fluctuations of the demons, but she just felt that the giant snake actually had feelings of reluctance and jealousy, which was very strange. But not long after, the skyscraper giant snake appeared, but this time its mouth was full of bright roses. It stretched its head in front of Duanzai. The huge snake pupils stared at Duanzai, and Duanzai also looked at the giant snake. "What are you doing?" Tang Yu rushed to the giant snake with a blushing face, and raised her little fist to punch the giant snake. Teacher Tang Yu is acting like a spoiled child, but the giant snake moved. There was no time to think about it. The magic dragon armor appeared instantly. Duanzai protected Tang Yu with one hand and pointed the other hand at the skyscraper giant snake. As long as it moved, Duanzai would attack it. The skyscraper giant snake looked at Tang Yu with an aggrieved look. Seeing this, Duanzai wanted to protect Tang Yu and leave, but Tang Yu looked back at Duanzai and said, "It's my relative." "Relative?" Duanzai looked at the beautiful woman with a blushing face in his arms with a confused face. Teacher Tang Yu is actually a snake demon. Mo Fan couldn't help but say in surprise, "But this figure does look like a snake demon." Mo Fan believed it. "I'm a human. But our relationship is a relative. After all, it saved me and regarded me as its child, so it is my relative." Tang Yu explained. "Is that so?" Duanzai took back the magic dragon armor, then touched his head and looked at the skyscraper giant snake awkwardly. Then Tang Yu continued to talk about the skyscraper giant snake. The skyscraper giant snake has been here longer than humans, but the skyscraper giant snake has not harmed humans and will protect humans, so the people of the Judgment Council here allow its existence, and it rarely moves. In short, the skyscraper giant snake is harmless to humans. But why did it bring flowers? Yi Xingxia muttered to herself. Mo Fan roughly guessed something and looked at Duanzai quietly. Sure enough, he found that Duanzai's face was gradually turning red. Bah. Tang Yu's face suddenly turned red and stammered, "It knows that I like flowers, so it brought them to me." Yi Xingxia reluctantly accepted this explanation. "Can we sit on its head?" Mo Fan suddenly said with shining eyes. Before Tang Yu could say anything, the totem giant snake lowered its head and motioned for the four of them to go up. After all, Tang Yu's friends were cute humans in its eyes, so as an elder, it was only right to make them happy. "Oh." Mo Fan hugged Yi Xingxia and jumped up. "Zai, take the wheelchair." Mo Fan said. "Okay." Duanzai also lifted the wheelchair with shining eyes and rushed to the head of the skyscraper giant snake. After Duanzai put the wheelchair away, he stretched out his hand to Tang Yu and said, "Come on. Otherwise, it would be quite pitiful if no one is with it." Tang Yu smiled and grabbed Duanzai's hand. In this way, Tang Yu, Mo Fan, Duan Zioi, and Yi Xingxia stood on the head of the giant snake and overlooked everything around them. AHH. Big snake, you are so awesome. Mo Fan couldn't help but say. The big snake spit out its tongue, indicating that it has always been awesome. After saying goodbye to the giant snake, Tang Yu took Mo Fan and the others to her home. How to say it? Tang Yu's house is very big. And it seems that Tang Yu's family is very busy, so there are only Tang Yu and the four of them in the huge house. After a delicious meal, everyone went back to their rooms. Duan Zioi couldn't sleep, and his mind was full of Tang Yu's blushing face. 10 minutes later, Duan Zioi opened the door quietly, and then looked into Mo Fan's eyes. Duan Zioi. Mo Fan. Ahem. Brother Fan, I'm going to ask teacher Tang Yu something. It's very important. Duan Zioi said. Well, I also have something important to say to Xingxia. Mo Fan knew it well, and didn't expose Duan Zioi. Then goodbye. X2 Duan Zioi left with an embarrassed look on his face. When Duan Zioi came to Tang Yu's room, Tang Yu was sitting in the pavilion, thinking about something. Duan Zioi walked to Tang Yu and whispered, "What are you thinking about, teacher?" "I won't tell you." Tang Yu suddenly became nervous. It must be a sinister intention to come to me so late. Duan Zioi didn't know how to respond. Tang Yu didn't hear Duan Zioi's words, so she asked in confusion, "Why don't you say anything?" "Well, go to bed early." Duan Zioi felt embarrassed and couldn't help wanting to leave here, so he said, "Hey." Tang Yu subconsciously grabbed Duan Zioi's hand and said, "I'm ready." Seeing Tang Yu's gradually red face, Duan Zioi also plucked up the courage to gently hug Tang Yu and said, "Don't force yourself. No force. It's just that teachers and students are too embarrassed." Tang Yu leaned her head on Duan Zioi's shoulder and said, "Hey, is there?" Duan Zioi said in surprise, "Of course. It's very embarrassing, and today it smelled your scent in my body, so it went to pick roses." At that moment, I almost felt like I was going to die. Tang Yu complained. "Hey, it actually knows the meaning of roses? It's amazing." Duan Zioi said admiringly, "Of course. That's what I told it before." Tang Yu said proudly, "It has been confirmed that it is on the shelf number 1. On the shelf number 1. On the shelf number 1. Although the author is a Buddhist, I would like to ask book friends to spend 15 seconds every day to watch the advertisement and get some free Kidian coins, which can be used as the first order of number 1. The author only needs 15 seconds of your time every day. Please give the author a little support. Chapter 90 The Coming of the Evil God. Early in the morning. So soft. Duan Zioi said softly, while holding the person in his arms. Tang Yu's fair face instantly turned red. She gently pinched Duan Zioi's soft flesh and said shyly, "What are you talking about? Hehe. Get up." Duan Zioi smiled and said. However, Tang Yu was still holding Duan Zioi, and it seemed that she still didn't want to get up so early. "It's still early now, let's take a rest." Tang Yu looked at Duan Zioi with gradually blurred eyes and said that she felt very comfortable yesterday, and the bone-eroding feeling made her unable to stop. Well, Duan Zioi would naturally not ignore the request of the beauty. "America. Is this the country of humans?" a blonde girl wearing a slightly revealing robe said. Because her dress was a little weird, she attracted the attention of many people. The blonde girl was very beautiful, and every part of her was perfect and beautiful. "Hello, Lord Evil God," an old man with white hair, but full of energy said with a respectful expression. The Lord Evil God he mentioned was actually just a 14-year-old girl, but it would be a big mistake to regard her as an ordinary girl, because she is the strongest evil god, an evil god who will transform the world with her own ideas. If the Ice Queen is the strongest creature Duan Zioi has ever seen, then this 14-year-old girl is a monster, an invincible monster. The girl has a talent skill, that is to absorb the magic energy of the world, which means that she can absorb all the magic energy of this world, but the corresponding world will collapse due to the exhaustion of magic energy. Although the girl does not like killing, only by holding the power in her hands can people be in awe. So in order to make people in awe, to make people afraid of herself, and for her own safety, the girl chose to destroy the world. Maybe after gaining enough power, she will understand the power and then master this terrifying power. The girl has unparalleled power, but she is also afraid of power. The girl is very contradictory. You step back. The girl looked at the white-haired old man and said, "Yes, Lord Evil God." The white-haired old man left the girl. The girl stretched out her white and tender palm, and a spear appeared in her hand. The girl held the spear and stabbed it towards the ground. The tip of the spear was inserted into the soil. The magic energy in the earth was instantly forcibly drawn by the spear and then poured into the girl's body. "What are you doing?" Suddenly a man looked at the girl and said. The man felt that the magic energy here was transferring, so he came to check on this unreasonable scene, but he saw a girl standing next to a spear, and the spear was madly absorbing power to provide it to the girl. Absorbing magic energy. The girl said a little boringly. What she did was very obvious. Suddenly the man felt that the magic energy in his body was also stirring, as if it was going to the girl. The man looked at the girl in horror and raised his hand to cast the superclass magic of the light system. A huge lightsaber fell from the sky and stabbed the girl. The girl took a look and did nothing, but the huge lightsaber over there gradually turned into light magic energy and poured into the girl's body. The girl gently raised her hand and pointed it at the man and smiled and said, "Congratulations on becoming a corpse." After that, a red light instantly penetrated the man's body. The man didn't even have time to react, and died just like that. One day later, America has completely turned into a dead land, without any people or creatures. Even plants no longer exist. Only a blonde girl floated above the dead land. The next day, the girl stood on the corpse of a giant beast and looked down at the angels flying in the sky. The corpse under the girl's feet was a huge demon that existed in America, and it was an emperor level demon, but it was easily killed by the girl. The girl knew that this creature came here to fight her because it felt dangerous, but the gap between the two was too big, so it was killed by the girl as soon as they met. Facing the angels who had the same power as the giant beast, the girl naturally didn't feel too much effort. The angel raised his sword and launched a charge. Well, boring. The girl grinned and raised her spear to the charging angels. The third day, the girl sat on the carpet made of angel wings and looked into the distance. The angels were simply vulnerable to the girl. Cool. A young looking man looked at the girl and said, "Leave me and I'll spare your life." The man was the former pharaoh of ancient Egypt and the strongest pharaoh, Khufu. "Well, you don't know the difference between us, right?" the girl said softly. Khufu frowned and a large number of undead rushed towards the girl. Boring. The girl yawned and waved her spear. The dark red magic power instantly turned into a storm that annihilated everything and instantly destroyed the army of undead. Khufu was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that his army would be destroyed in an instant. But in order to defend his own world, he still took action. Khufu released a silver blade and slashed at the girl. The girl did not move, but a magic barrier blocked Khufu's silver blade. The girl was very strong, so strong that even the emperor level creatures could be easily crushed to death like ants in front of her. The girl raised her spear and threw it out. The spear turned into the spear of death and easily penetrated Khufu's body. The body of the emperor creature is the hardest thing in the world, but it is as fragile as thin paper in the face of the girl's attack. Khufu thought a lot. Although he has been expanding his own land, the things from other worlds, even gods, cannot invade his world because it belongs to him. It is a worthy death to die for his land. In the following days, humans, demons, angels, and fallen angels continued to stop the girl, but they were all killed by the girl without exception. "What are you doing here, old man?" the white-haired girl said with a relaxed expression as she looked at Lin Feng in front of her. "Is there nothing that can stop that evil god?" Lin Feng said with a hint of expectation. "Now half of the earth has become a scorched earth of death. You also saw it. The angels of the holy city, the rulers of the Sahara, and the coalition forces composed of the emperors and the sea were all shot by that girl. What do you think I, a beginner mage, can do?" Bing Fengxin said easily. "If this world is destroyed, then she doesn't need to be busy anymore, so she should just welcome death easily." Lin Feng smiled helplessly and said, "Thank you for your hard work over the years." Lin Feng knew that, although this girl was very willful, she still handled things very well. Because the protagonist still has a long time before school starts, a copy is arranged to help the protagonist spend this boring holiday. Original plot. Please don't criticize if you don't like it. Chapter 91. Disaster. Ah. So boring. The blonde girl complained while leaning on her spear. But why didn't the creatures in this world come? The girl guessed that they might have given up the idea of resistance and were ready to wait for death silently. This made the girl more determined. Only strength can protect herself, so she needs more strength so that no one will hurt herself. The girl didn't know how many worlds she had destroyed. In fact, this world was pretty good. She remembered that the creatures in a world were weaker. That world took about a day to absorb all the magic energy. But now it has been a few days, but this world has only collapsed halfway, so the girl thinks this world is still pretty good. Duanzai sat on the soft sofa. In front of him were Tang Yu, Mo-fan, Yi Xingxia and others. And they all knew that an evil god had descended in the United States not long ago and was now dragging the whole world into the abyss quickly. But they were powerless. After all, the forbidden spells could not solve the problem. What use would they have? They would probably die. Okay, since we are all going to die, why not die happily? Mo-fan suddenly stood up and said, but even though he said that, Mo-fan still didn't want to die. Are his family and friends going to die suddenly? Are you kidding me? I'll go. Now I'm probably the only one who can make her look at me straight in the eye. After all, I still have the power of an angel and the power of a fallen angel. Duanzai stood up and said in a somewhat dull tone. He wanted to try it out. What if the girl was injured? What if she was vulnerable? It's not his character to sit and wait for death like this. Mo-fan was stunned for a moment and then said, let's go together. In this way, even if I die, I will spit at that person. Mo-fan's slightly vulgar words made Duanzai smile faintly. Duanzai walked to Mo-fan, patted Mo-fan on the shoulder and said, if I and that woman can save the world by exchanging one for one, then please take care of my family. Ha ha ha. Duanzai felt that it was a good deal to exchange himself for the peace of the world and even felt it was an honor. What are you talking about? Mo-fan looked at Duanzai and said, I'm the strongest here now, so I will save the world. You have been helping me all along, and now I will protect you. Isn't that fair? Duanzai shrugged and said with a relaxed look. Tang Yu approached Duanzai and said, if you die, then the next one to save the world will be me. Duanzai smiled bitterly and nodded and said, yeah. In fact, if Duanzai failed, everyone would die. Although the result would be the same, Tang Yu's words still made Duanzai feel warm. Click. At this time, someone opened the door. The sound of the door opening made the four of them look back. It was a person covered in a black robe, and it was unclear whether it was a man or a woman. I came with the power to defeat Yelena. The man said so. Duanzai and Mo-fan looked at the man in confusion. Defeat Yelena? Is it that evil god? But with such power, why don't you defeat the evil god yourself? Duanzai was a little confused, and of course Mo-fan and the other three were also confused. As if seeing the confusion of the four people, the figure said, Lord Walnut Dream is in Duanzai's body, and awakening two new systems requires a strong enough body, but the stronger the body, the better. The new power to be awakened requires more magic power, but the magic power of magicians of the same level is similar, so it is impossible to provide enough power for the new system. However, Duanzai, who is born with 3 systems, can perfectly awaken the new system, and Lord Walnut Dream is in Duanzai's body, so we will let Duanzai awaken the new power. The black-robed man kept talking, and Duanzai was confused. What is this guy talking about? Although Duanzai understood the literal meaning, is this possible? Awakening a new system? Are you kidding? And Walnut Dream is in his body? What a joke. This guy must be crazy. What are you talking about? But you should be a member of the evil god cult. Do you want me to kill you when you come here? Duanzai said to the black-robed man. The black-robed man was silent for a moment and then said, drink it. You will awaken a new power. That power plus the vampire blood, phoenix, double-headed bird, angel, fallen angel, these powers combined should be able to create a different demon, so give it a try. It can't be said that you can definitely defeat that Lady Yelena, but this is the only chance to increase your chances of winning. The black-robed man seemed to be excited. I know. Duanzai took the bottle handed over by the black-robed man and said. Duanzai was not sure what was in it, but since this person said so, then let's try it. What does it mean that Walnut Dream is in Zai's body? Tang Yu couldn't help but say what the black-robed man said made her very concerned. Lady Walnut Dream has a special talent. Whoever kills her will coexist with that person, and she also has a certain ability to control her body. Okay, drink it. After the black-robed man explained to Tang Yu, he continued to say to Duanzai. I know. Duanzai drank the contents of the bottle. How to say it? It's very unpalatable. It made Duanzai feel like vomiting. But soon, changes occurred. A pair of pitch black bat wings suddenly grew out from Duanzai's back, and his clothes were instantly torn. Then a pair of golden wings grew out from under the pitch black bat wings. Ha 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 ha. The black-robed man made an excited sound. Tang Yu and Mo Fan looked at Duanzai with worry. But soon, a pair of fallen angel wings also grew out, and the black wings exuded a dark aura. Suddenly, a brilliant light was released, and a pair of colorful wings slowly grew out. Following closely was a pair of white wings, which were angel wings. Ha 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 ha. Monster. You are a monster now. The black-robed man laughed loudly. But the changes were not over yet. Half of Duanzai's cheek was covered by black lines, and the other side was covered by golden and white lines, and lines gradually appeared on his body. Okay. Let's see your strength, Mr. Monster. The black-robed man said teasingly. I will. Duanzai said, then looked at Tang Yu and the others and said, wait for me to come back. Tang Yu bit her lip, and looked at Duanzai for a while before saying, remember my words. Chapter 92 Yelena. You are very strange. The blonde girl said to Duanzai, who was floating in the air and slightly flapping 5 pairs of different wings. I'm here to stop you. Duanzai said to the girl. The angel sword appeared in Duanzai's hand, but a more ancient blade also appeared in front of Duanzai, and the phoenix engraved blade could be vaguely seen on it. Duanzai had just summoned it, and he didn't know when this knife appeared in his body, but as long as it could be used as power, it would be fine. Holding the knife in his right hand and the angel sword in his left hand, Duanzai said to the blonde girl, as long as I'm alive, I will not let you destroy the world. Looking at Duanzai's firm expression, the girl smiled and said, I will kill you. The girl held the spear and pointed it at Duanzai. It turned out that Duanzai's temporary catalytic power was not the girl's opponent at all. The girl's spear easily shattered Duanzai's magic dragon armor and even destroyed half of Duanzai's body. However, Duanzai's powerful self-healing ability allowed him to recover almost instantly. Duanzai calmed down with his strong recovery ability and attacked the girl frantically, but the girl was faster. The girl dodged Duanzai's attack and shot Duanzai's arm. Bang! Duanzai's upper body was instantly blown up and turned into scarlet blood mist. But in a second, the scarlet blood mist condensed into Duanzai's body again. TSK. Are you a cockroach? The girl said impatiently. Duanzai didn't say anything and punched the girl in the chest. You can't beat me at all. The girl kicked Duanzai in the chest and said impatiently. Duanzai's body instantly fell to the ground. The ground cracked in a large area instantly. Duanzai slowly stood up and looked at the girl. If he continued to fight like this, he would never be able to defeat the girl in his life. But the girl quietly fiddled with her hair with her hands. Duanzai felt a little strange. Why did the girl behave like a little girl now? In Duanzai's impression, this girl should be at least a few hundred years old. The angel sword and the phoenix knife flew in front of Duanzai. Duanzai saw a figure reflected on the blade of the phoenix knife. The dragon armor had been broken into pieces, and the clothes on his body were all destroyed by the girl's attack, so Duanzai was now wearing armor with his upper body naked. Is this guy just a child? But isn't it too scary for a child to want to destroy a world? Do you know? In one day, I can completely absorb the magic energy of this world. Since I can't protect this world, don't fight. After all, the destruction of this world is doomed. At most, I won't kill you, okay? The girl said with some distress. Although the person in front of her couldn't hurt her, it was annoying to keep harassing her like this. And he couldn't be killed. So angry. I refuse. There's a second round. Backtrack. Duanzai looked at the girl and said, "This is a new power that Duanzai awakened, the power of time." The scene changed instantly. This is the moment when the girl and Duanzai met for the first time. The girl tilted her head and said, "Are you sure this world is still your world? If we travel back, we should meet our former selves, but we didn't. Are you sure it's still the world we were in before? This is not traveling back. Instead, the time of this world is adjusted to the time when you and I met. It's like watching TV, jumping to the place you want to watch. Now it's the second round." Duanzai looked at the girl and said, "You deserve to die." The girl raised her spear and aimed it at Duanzai and threw it out. The spear instantly pierced Duanzai's heart, but did not stop, but pierced the whole world. "You succeeded in angering me," the girl said viciously. Backtrack. The environment switched to the time when the two met for the first time. The third round. Duanzai said silently, "Huff, huff, huff." The girl looked at Duanzai panting, and it can be seen that she was very angry. What's wrong with just wanting power? If there is no power, wouldn't it be better for people to wait for death obediently? Why do we have to protect these weak people? If the duty of the strong is to protect the weak, then why don't you protect me? Don't you protect my family? I can't understand. Incomprehensible. Incomprehensible. I don't want to die, so let others die." The girl looked at Duanzai firmly. The girl raised her spear and said, "Why do you have to protect the weak? You hypocritical person. Protecting the weak is just to satisfy your vanity, right? Human." Duanzai did not answer, but looked at the girl. "Answer me, human. Why do you want to protect the weak?" The girl screamed. "They have nothing to do with you, right? I allow you to take your family and friends away from this world, so we don't have to fight, right?" The girl continued to look at Duanzai and said. Duanzai recalled every bit of this world in his mind. Cute children, kind old men, gentle women, handsome girls. So isn't it normal to protect these people? Duanzai looked at the girl and said, "Because they are worth it." Hehe. Worth it? Does that mean I'm not worth protecting? The girl looked at Duanzai and continued, "This world needs correction. In a world where the strong prey on the weak, only selfishness can lead to a better life, so this world should be destroyed. Go back." This time the girl noticed the change in the environment and sat on the ground with a little boredom, looking at Duanzai and said, "Can I give up this world? I don't believe you." Duanzai looked at the girl and said, "After going back 1,000 times." The girl pursed her lips and looked at Duanzai. They have been together for about a year now, and it was time to be alone together. The girl felt a little sick. Going back again and again made her more and more irritable. Do you know? Only by becoming stronger can you have the right to survive. This is the law of nature. The girl looked at Duanzai and said, "Your name?" Duanzai did not answer the girl's question, because he had already noticed that the girl's three views were distorted. "Yelena. My name is Yelena. What about you?" The girl looked at Duanzai and said she also wanted to have a good chat with the person in front of her. "Oh." Duanzai raised the angel sword and said to the girl, "Let's fight." The girl raised her spear and rushed towards Duanzai violently. The girl felt like she was going crazy. Chapter 93 Evil God. Yelena once again blew up the boy in front of her, but she knew it was useless, because the boy would soon use strange power to go back to the past. In the process of killing, Yelena's mentality became more and more anxious. Obviously, she was stronger than him, so why should she be trapped here all the time? In any case, Yelena's mentality was just that of a little girl. Now her childish mentality made her unable to bear the mental interference from Duanzai. She wanted to say, "Aren't you uncomfortable?" Duanzai once again used the backtracking to the time and place where he first met the girl. Why? The girl went crazy the moment she saw Duanzai. Before Duanzai spoke, the girl appeared beside him and pinched his neck with one hand. The powerful force left Duanzai no room for resistance. Duanzai's goal was to defeat this girl, so if he couldn't win by force, he would fight from the spirit. According to his understanding so many times, this guy was a girl with a problem in mentality. So in order to understand this girl well, Duanzai would slowly guide the girl. Why? Duanzai said in accordance with the girl's words. Why do you keep bullying me, you bastard? The little girl's fragile heart was revealed. Who the hell bullied you? It was you who kept beating me, okay? And why are you so wronged? I haven't even cried yet. I shut up. The girl smashed Duanzai to the ground, and the huge force directly cracked the ground. Why do you want power so much? Duanzai staggered to his feet and looked at the girl and said, Power. Power is the only thing that can protect me. Without power, only death awaits me. The girl said with red eyes and crying. Then I will protect you, is that okay? Duanzai said tentatively. What a joke. You are so weak. The girl didn't believe that Duanzai would protect herself, so she shot him directly. In this way, the two began a cycle of reincarnation, again and again. After 10,000 times of backtracking, the girl looked at the boy in front of her with messy hair. She had lost control countless times, but it was useless. She couldn't kill the boy. Let's make a contract. If I can't protect you, you can continue to destroy the world. How about that? Duanzai looked at the girl and said, his memory is now full of this girl. If he doesn't recall Tang Yu carefully, he will find it difficult to remember Tang Yu. After all, the time of recalling adds up to hundreds of years. Why? Why should I compromise for the sake of the world? How many people do you still remember? The girl scratched her messy hair and said. To be honest, she even wanted to die, but the power in her body was so high that she couldn't do it, even if she wanted to die, and her world gradually changed from strength to fighting against the boy in front of her. As long as the boy was unhappy, she would be happy. Yes. Who do I still remember? Duanzai recalled for a long time before he remembered his parents and friends. The psychological confusion was dispelled a lot. Duanzai looked at the blonde girl again and raised his sword and knife. This time he wanted to strengthen his belief, otherwise he felt that he would forget. The girl was angry. She didn't know why she was angry, but she felt really angry. After a random blow pierced Duanzai's heart, the girl waited for Duanzai to recover. She wanted him to feel her pain and distress. But as time passed, Duanzai showed no signs of recovery. The girl noticed something was wrong. Hey, if you don't get up, I'll destroy this world. The girl raised her spear and looked at Duanzai. But Duanzai still didn't move. Hey, what do you want to do? The girl suddenly ran over in a panic. Duanzai had been in front of her for so many years, and she didn't feel lonely or bored. But when Duanzai didn't recover, she suddenly realized that she was very lonely. The girl ran to Duanzai's body and hugged Duanzai's body in a panic. At this moment, she was at a loss and didn't look like a high and mighty evil god at all. Ah, Lord Evil God, when did we get so close? Duanzai suddenly opened his eyes and said with a smile. The girl was stunned for a moment and then her eyes quickly turned cold. Who are you? These years of getting along made her know Duanzai very well, so she could easily distinguish that the person in front of her was not Duanzai, but rather his soul. That guy was very tired, so he gave me his body, and I'm Hu Taomeng. Lady Yelena, Hu Taomeng said with a playful smile. Didn't he say that he would save the world? Why doesn't he keep his word? Damn liar. The girl cursed, and her petite body trembled. Lady Yelena, you have to be considerate of him. After all, he is fighting against you. Hu Taomeng said playfully. Let him out. Yelena looked at Hu Taomeng and said. Sorry, I can't do it. If he doesn't want to wake up, then he can't wake up. And I'll give this world to you. I don't want to continue reincarnation with you. Hu Taomeng flapped her wings and prepared to leave after she finished speaking. Contract. The girl suddenly said. What are you talking about? Lord Evil God. The power belongs to you, and he belongs to me. Okay. Hu Taomeng said expressionlessly to the blonde girl. Duanzai, you bastard, I made a contract with you. If you don't show up in 3 minutes, you will lose the only chance to stop me. The girl said angrily. She compromised. She compromised with Duanzai. The corners of Hu Taomeng's mouth rose slightly. Even the contract was not as close as her and him. Success. Hu Taomeng said softly. Then Duanzai's eyes became confused, but he soon woke up. What did you just say? Duanzai tilted his head and said he didn't know what had just happened. Hoo. I made a contract with you. But if you can't protect me, then I will still destroy the world. The girl strode to Duanzai and said. So the girl used all her strength to sign a contract with Duanzai. But it's not over yet. Because if they continue to use backtracking, then the fact that they signed the contract will disappear. Next, they have to travel through time to the time before Yelena came to Earth. He wants to change the world, but this time Yelena is standing by her side, and then they face her past together. Duanzai is confident, because if he can convince the current Yelena, he can also convince her past. Chapter 94 Asheruaya. Duanzai took Yelena and traveled directly to the moment when Yelena just came to Earth. Yo. Hello. Yelena, who had signed a contract with Duanzai, looked at her former self and said, Hey, are you me? Yelena, who had just arrived on Earth, looked at Yelena next to Duanzai and said, That's right. You are the me of the past. Yelena said, looking at her former self. Hey, you are the me of the future? It's hard to believe that you actually signed a contract with this human. The girl said in surprise. Well, I can only say that you can't destroy this world, so leave. Yelena said, looking at her former self. The girl looked at Yelena and said, You recognize him, which means he can protect you, right? Yes. Yelena nodded and said, Then human, make a contract with me. If you don't make a contract, I will destroy this world. The girl looked at Duanzai and said, Yes. Contract. Duanzai nodded and said, So he made a contract with the two evil gods and changed the whole world since the moment he came here. This situation is like a stream encountering a fork in the road, and the stream separates. So the moment Duanzai came here, he created a parallel world. In the end, Duanzai made a contract with the past Yelena. My name is Yali, and you can be called Lina. Yelena, who was the first to make a contract with Duanzai, looked at the other self and said, Okay, I think so too. Lina looked at Yali and said, But at this moment Duanzai was confused. What should he do after saving the world? Now he hasn't met Mo-fan and the others for almost hundreds of years. What should he say when he meets? How should he face them? Unlike Duanzai's confusion, Yali and Lina were chatting. What are you doing here? Suddenly a beautiful black-haired girl walked up to Duanzai and said. Duanzai tilted his head and said in confusion, Who are you? Oh. Pretending not to know me. Asheruaya covered her mouth and said heartbrokenly, We are husband and wife. How can you be so cruel? Duanzai also gradually recalled, rubbed his head, and smiled faintly and said, Long time no see. I say. Why do you smile so maturely? It feels like an old man in his twilight years. Asheruaya approached Duanzai and said, Is that a vixen? Yali said to Lina. It is undoubtedly a vixen. Lina touched her chin and said, To be honest, she had only known Duanzai for a short time, so there was no extra emotion. But Yali was different. She was a person who had spent many years with Duanzai. The appearance of Lina made her mentality explode a little. Now there is a vixen, and she feels a little jealous. The conversation between the two successfully attracted Asheruaya's attention. Asheruaya smiled and said, Do you like Lalita? Or twin Lalita? Duanzai glanced at Yali and said, I don't know. He and Yali have been together for the longest time. It would be a lie to say that he doesn't like her, but he still likes Tang Yu and his feelings will occasionally emerge, so he is very confused now. You don't know? Asheruaya said in surprise, but soon she showed a sweet smile and said, How about doing me a favor? Duanzai tilted his head and said, What? A very easy job. Asheruaya approached Duanzai and said, What is it? Duanzai looked at Asheruaya and said, he always felt that this girl had bad intentions. What are you doing, bastard? A young man strode over and looked at Duanzai and said viciously, his fierce expression was like a irritable man who was cuckolded. Drive him away. Asheruaya whispered in Duanzai's ear. Woo wow. Yali stomped on the ground angrily. Lina looked at Yali with some anger. She knew that her future self seemed to like this boy. It was quite interesting to see her future self being jealous. Yali, do you like him? Lina said bluntly. Just as the two were discussing, the young man's big hand grabbed Duanzai. Duanzai grabbed the young man's hand. The young man wanted to resist, but the huge force made him unable to resist at all. She is the person I like, and she also likes me, so don't bother her. Duanzai looked at the young man and said, "Humph." The young man snorted coldly and left. "Thank you. Then I'll go first." Ashiruya said goodbye to Duanzai. "We should go back." Duanzai looked at Yali and Lina and said that this was not their timeline. There should be another him in this world. "I know." Yali ran to Duanzai and said. Lina also smiled and walked to Duanzai's side. 2 months later, Duanzai lay in the room to rest. He is now a student of Mingzhu College. Because Yali and Lina don't like dormitories, he rented a house outside the school. "Wow. Lina, you are cheating." "I'm not." "You are cheating." "I'm not." Yali and Lina started to blame each other with the game controller. "Stupid, get up and judge." Yali threw down the game controller and walked to the bedside to look at Duanzai who was resting. This has happened many times. Duanzai didn't bother to pay attention to the two of them. No sleep. Yali started to push Duanzai's shoulders. "Yes. No sleep." Lina also started to push Duanzai from the other side. "You are not allowed to touch him." Yali said. "Why can you touch me but not me?" Lina rolled her eyes and said. "Anyway, it's not allowed." Yali jumped onto the bed and lay on Duanzai's body to separate Lina's hands. "I want to touch." Lina also jumped up and started to push each other with Yali. "I say, it's Saturday now. Can I take a day off? It's tiring to take care of you guys." Duanzai couldn't help but say. Yali and Lina were unhappy instantly. Then the two began to disturb Duanzai's sleep in various ways. "Okay, you win." Duanzai, who couldn't stand it anymore, stood up. "Yeah. I want ice cream." Yali said with a scissors hand gesture of victory. "I want ice cream too." Lina also said to Yali with a refund expression. They are indeed the same person. "Then I'll go after I finish washing up." Duanzai said to the two girls. "Well, be quick," Yali said with a smile. After Yali finished speaking, she pulled Lina out. Duanzai is still a high-level magician. Of course he can still use that special power, and he has now awakened another special system called the time system. As the name suggests, it is a special magic that can manipulate the power of time. Chapter 95. Duanzai is a magician of 11 departments: wind, thunder, fire, summon, shadow, light, rock, water, plant, demon, and time. Now that the fire and rock departments have broken through to a high level, it is very difficult to practice all of them together. So Duanzai decided to practice the fire and rock departments first, and then practice other departments when he has spare time. The first place in each department of Mingzhu College can practice in the 3-step tower. It is said that one day of practice there is equivalent to dozens of days outside, which is very helpful for practice. So if I win the first place in 9 departments, it will be equivalent to 3 or 4 months, right? This is really good. Yali's non-standard Mandarin brought Duanzai back to his senses. Hehehe. Humans are really good. Lina also ate ice cream in big mouthfuls. Duanzai is now eating ice cream with 2 girls in an ice cream shop. There are also many girls around. Don't eat too much, otherwise you will have diarrhea. Duanzai couldn't help but say. "Do you look down on the evil god's stomach, human?" Lina stared at Duanzai with her eyes puffed up and said. "That's right. Humans don't understand how powerful we are. I want more." Yali echoed Lina. Duanzai reluctantly ordered 2 more ice creams for the 2 of them. But soon Yali looked at Duanzai with a look of tears on her face and said, "My stomach hurts." "Ah. Then go." Duanzai said helplessly. "You go with me. I feel like I'm going to rush out if I move." Yali said with a blushing face. Is this guy really an evil god? Duanzai used shadow escape to take Yali and Lina to the toilet together. Fortunately, there were no other girls in the toilet, otherwise they would scream. "Well, you are quite sensible," Lina said, and hurriedly pushed the toilet open and rushed in. It seems that she also has a stomachache. Suddenly, the sound of women talking came. Duanzai wanted to use shadow escape, but Yali pulled him into the toilet cubicle and closed the door. "You're dead if you dare to peek." Yali whispered to Duanzai. Yeah. Duanzai nodded and said, then turned his head. Yala's face flushed, and she pulled down her pants and looked at Duanzai very nervously, as if she was afraid that he would peek. You are so slow. Duanzai and Yali went back, and Lina looked at the two people who were late with a suspicious look on her face. Lina actually smelled Yali and said, no strange smell. Then why are you so slow? What are you thinking about? Yali couldn't help but say, you know. Lina said casually, I don't know. Yali said loudly, you must know. Lina said with a sly smile. Stupid. Yali said and walked out angrily. Duanzai hurriedly paid and walked out, and Lina followed Duanzai and chased after Yali. At the same time, Mo-fan, didn't you say your brother is also in this school? Let's call him out for dinner. The blonde handsome man Zao Manan looked at Mo-fan and said, he felt that Mo-fan and he could get along well in this dormitory, so he planned to ask Mo-fan out for dinner. Sure. But are there any girls? We can't be the only men, right? Mo-fan looked at Zao Manan and said, if there were only men, he would rather go to practice. Don't worry. There are plenty of girls. I'm just afraid your kidneys can't take it. Zao Manan said with a lewd expression. That's great. Mo-fan said with a grin. Afternoon. Duanzai took Yali and Lina to the place where he had agreed to meet Mo-fan. He had just come out of the ice cream shop, and Mo-fan told him to have dinner together in the evening. Duanzai happily agreed. Duanzai took Yali and Lina and quickly found Mo-fan and the others. The two identical blonde girls naturally attracted everyone's attention. The two girls were definitely the most beautiful girls here. Zao Manan looked at Mo-fan's brother with envy. He could capture two beautiful twin girls. It was too good. My name is Duanzai. Duanzai said to the others. I'm not interested in mortals. So don't bother me. Yali pouted and said angrily as she sat next to Duanzai. Me too. Lina said. Her name is Yali, and her name is Lina. Please forgive me for being in a bad mood. Duanzai rubbed his hair and said. Just as the passerby came, the two quarreled again. Why did they quarrel all the time, when they were the same person? Glad that you're here. Let's eat. Mo-fan said with a smile, but he still felt that Duanzai's luck with women was too much. Damn it. My name is Zao Manan. The handsome blonde Zao Manan said to Duanzai. Hello. Duanzai said politely. The other people also began to introduce themselves. Yo. Little sister, you are so cute. Is he your boyfriend? A pretty woman looked at Yali and said. HMPH. Only a blind man would be his girlfriend. I don't like him. Yali said angrily, holding her chest. He didn't help her when they had a quarrel just now. It was too much. Anyone could see that the girl was talking in anger. The woman had no intention of continuing. She thought that the girl had nothing to do with the boy, so she took action. But now it seems that the girl obviously likes the boy, so she still didn't take action. Soon the atmosphere became lively. Stupid. I want meat. Yali pulled Duanzai's clothes and said hurriedly, because if she spoke slowly, it would be snatched away. Okay. Duanzai picked up a few pieces of meat and put them in Yali's bowl. Ahem. I wanted to. Lina also said. She had just snatched a lot of the meat that Yali put there and almost made Yali go crazy. Okay. Duanzai also picked up a few pieces of meat for Lina. Huh. It's delicious. Yali squinted her eyes and said happily. Most of the people here looked at Duanzai with envy. It must be very happy to be so close to two stunning girls. Duanzai, right? Can you teach us how to pick up girls? A boy looked at Duanzai and said he really envied Duanzai. First of all, you have to be handsome enough, and then you have to be able to take a beating. That's basically it. Duanzai said. After thinking about it, he was beaten by Yali for hundreds of years. I can understand being handsome, but what does it mean to take a beating? The boy said with a little confusion. Are you a masochist? Zao Manan suddenly said in surprise. Hiss. Forget it. Brother Duan, just pretend you didn't hear my question just now. The boy said hurriedly. He is not a masochist. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo fanfic novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96 Charming Girl. Are you Duanzai? A magnetic voice said. Duanzai turned around and saw a young man with grey hair. The young man was about 1.89 meters tall and looked very handsome. Hello. Do we know each other? Duanzai said doubtfully. He didn't know this young man. We are in the same class. I didn't expect you didn't know me. I'm a little sad. The young man touched his head and smiled awkwardly and said, my name is Wen Jisen. Hello. What's the matter? Duanzai continued. Can't I call you if there's nothing? Wen Jisen looked at Duanzai and said, of course, but I thought you had something to ask me. Duanzai looked at the young man and said, by the way, the girls in this school are very beautiful. Wen Jisen said, and he looked happy. Boom. Suddenly a gorgeous sports car stopped in front of the two. The car door opened. A pair of beautiful legs in black stockings stepped out first, and then a girl in a long skirt and beautiful makeup came out. She looked young and beautiful. Oops. Wen Jisen said, as if he didn't want to see the woman's look. I told you can't run away. The woman said confidently and elegantly, and then walked in front of Wen Jisen. The woman pointed at Wen Jisen and said, you are the one I want to marry for the rest of my life. Duanzai looked at the two of them with a little surprise, then clapped his hands gently and said, Wen Jisen, your girlfriend is very courageous. And congratulations. You don't know what kind of person she is. Wen Jisen said with a bitter face, as if he had taken bitter medicine. The woman enthusiastically took Wen Jisen's hand and looked at Duanzai and said, hello. My name is Judy, Jason's fiancée. The woman looked at Duanzai confidently and elegantly. Duanzai smiled and said, hello, my name is Duanzai. It's a very ordinary name. But the person is very ordinary. Judy touched her chin and said, no one would like Judy to talk like this. So Duanzai said, if you two don't have anything else, I'll leave first. After all, I still have things to do. Well, goodbye. Judy nodded and said she preferred to be alone with Wen Jisen. Wen Jisen touched his hair. He didn't like Judy now. Maybe he liked her before. But Judy controlled everything about him, making him feel suffocated. So he came here. But he didn't expect Judy to follow him. College life is gone. Class time. Yali and Lina couldn't stand the class, so they wandered around the campus. Hey, can I call you Zai? Judy said to Duanzai who was sitting next to her. She came to follow Wen Jisen, but the guy ran away during class. So she was the only one sitting next to Duanzai. Whatever you want. Duanzai said, while taking notes on demon knowledge. Judy looked at Duanzai with a little happiness and said, are you familiar with Wen Jisen? We just met not long ago. Duanzai said briefly. That girl is so beautiful. The girl sitting in front of Duanzai said quietly, and then secretly glanced at Judy. The target was already obvious. Judy was indeed very beautiful. Judy was a bold and informal girl, which Duanzai saw from Judy. Is that so? I still want to talk to you about him, Judy said, looking at Duanzai. In her world, only Wen Jisen was a handsome guy, and the others were ordinary people, and his only friend was Wen Jisen, but now there was Duanzai. Judy took the initiative to talk about many topics with Wen Jisen. Judy didn't continue talking until the get out of class was over. Do we have a party together? A girl looked at Duanzai and said, to be honest, she only wanted to invite Duanzai, but there was a girl next to him, so she invited him as well, because Duanzai would be nowhere to be found once he left the classroom, so the girl couldn't wait to invite Duanzai and Judy. Me. Okay. I haven't been there yet, Judy said first, but also interrupted Duanzai. Duanzai rubbed his head and was about to continue, but Judy said again, it's the first party. I'm very happy. This guy's also quite pitiful. Helplessly Duanzai said, okay, but can we add 2 people? Of course I will pay for the share. Of course. No need for share money. The girl who invited Duanzai ran away happily after saying that. Found the target. Yali hid beside the table and whispered, as if she was a special forces soldier on a mission. Received. Sniper number 1 is ready to fight. Lina said. She pointed a water gun at Duanzio's head and said, attack. Yali quickly stood up and pointed the small water gun in her hand at Duanzio. Biu biu biu. Lina fired a stream of water while making a dubbing. These two are really green and love to play. Duanzio easily dodged and took away their water guns and said, we are going to have a dinner party later. HMM. We don't eat human food. Yali said as she prepared to grab her own water gun. Looking at the playful Duanzio and the two girls, Judy said enviously, hello. My name is Judy. HMM. I don't want to know humans. Lina said, then threw herself on Duanzio and started to grab the water gun. Judy was hurt by Lina's words. Indeed, no one liked to be friends with him. If it weren't for Duanzio, the girl wouldn't have invited her just now. Sorry, this child is a little naughty. Duanzio looked at Judy with an apologetic look and said. He noticed Judy's disappointment. Sorry, please notify me when the party is over. I have something else to do. Judy said and left in a hurry. HMM. Stingy. Yali said. That's the glass heart. Fragile things. Lina continued. Hey. Saying that to people will make them feel uncomfortable. Duanzio said. Anyway, it's not me who is uncomfortable. And I'm an evil god. Why should I care about what humans think? Yali said while hugging Duanzio. If you work harder, you can get the water gun. Okay, you are right. Duanzio said helplessly. Yali and Lina will not care about other people, but they should care about themselves. After all, they are their contractors. Miss, are you okay? A young man looked at the beautiful Judy and said, get out. Judy said. Chapter 97 Monday. Duanzio put on a mask and came to the territory of the wind department. Brother, your mask is very cool. What's your name? A boy looked at the mysterious Duanzio and said, my name is Zai. I'm here to beat up the students of the wind department. Duanzio looked at the boy and said that all the students of the wind department were competing together today. The winner could go to the 3-step tower to practice and get 10 wind spirit seeds. Although Duanzio didn't care much about the spirit seeds, the 3-step tower was very powerful. It was something that could speed up the practice. Hiss. Brother, are you awesome? The boy was immediately unhappy because he was also a student of the wind department. Yeah, I'm awesome. I've never seen anyone more awesome than me. Anyway, wearing a mask, I just let myself go, and this school relies on strength to speak. If you have the guts, beat yourself up on the ring. Duanzio walked towards the ring after he finished speaking. Is there anyone challenging Liu Hang, who is ranked 700th? The teacher holding the microphone said with a lack of interest. It would be very exciting if the ranking was a little higher. I'll do it. Duanzio jumped onto the stage and said that he was going to beat all the wine type people today. Okay, what's your name? The teacher didn't care about the mask on Duanzio's face. My name is Zai. Duanzio tilted his head and said, I'm the 700th. Are you sure you want to fight me? Liu Hang couldn't help but say that he also came with the idea of beating the wine type today. Liu Hang's wine type also broke through to the intermediate level today, and he is also an intermediate level mage of the fire type. There are not many people who can cultivate 2 systems to the intermediate level at this age. So Liu Hang felt that he could not be defeated easily. Hurry up. I'm here to beat all the wine type people today. Of course, we can all come together. Duanzio touched the mask and said arrogantly, HMM. Wait until I knock out your teeth and see if you can still talk like this. Liu Hang was stimulated. Of course, the other wine type students also stared at Duanzio and wanted to kick Duanzio over. After all, this person was too arrogant. Anyway, Duanzio, who was wearing a mask, didn't care whether he was arrogant enough. Fierce fist. Liu Hang drew a star map and rushed towards Duanzio with a scorching flaming fist. It was not strange for a student of the wind system to use the intermediate magic of the fire system right after he arrived, but it always felt a little inconsistent. Wind track floating shadow. Duanzio's body became erratic. The range of the fiery fist was not counted, so Duanzio easily dodged it. And Duanzio's speed was so fast that Liu Hang didn't know where to hit. Liu Hang couldn't bear it anymore and said, you can only dodge. Okay. Since you want to end the game quickly, I will fulfill your wish. Duanzai stopped his erratic figure. Seeing this, Liu Hang smiled. He was still too young. He couldn't help but want to fight hard after being stimulated. Liu Hang looked at Duanzai. If Duanzai kept dodging, he would not be able to solve him, but once he stopped dodging, he felt that he could solve Duanzai instantly. Wind Disc. Liu Hang released the wind disc the moment he drew the star map. A huge tornado swept towards Duanzai. Liu Hang is a very good student. The teacher who was watching the game couldn't help but think. Wind track. Duanzai prepared to use the wind track. Huh. That guy still wants to escape. A boy couldn't help but say, but the speed of the wind disc should be able to attack him when Duanzai releases the wind track. Most people think so. Wind blade. Duanzai used the 7th level magic of the wind track. Dozens of wind blades flew out and easily tore apart Liu Hang's wind disc. Is that elementary magic? Isn't the wind track a displacement skill? When did it become an attack skill? Crack. A strand of Liu Hang's hair was cut off by the wind blade. Duanzai tilted his head and said, "Do you still want to fight?" Liu Hang regained a little calm after hearing Duanzai's words, but he still felt that he could win, and Duanzai's wind blade must have been off target just now, a mistake. So he had to seize this opportunity. Fierce Fist. Liu Hang roared and launched an attack. Duanzai sighed. He could have left decently, but chose to leave in a rude way. I don't understand. Wind track boing. Duanzai quickly dodged the fierce punch and appeared in front of Liu Hang. You. Liu Hang looked at Duanzai with a surprised look on his face. Bang. Duanzai didn't listen to Liu Hang and punched Liu Hang directly. Liu Hang fell to the ground in embarrassment. He stood up and looked at Duanzai in a daze. He was very dissatisfied, but had to accept this result, the result of being punched off the stage by Duanzai. Duanzai didn't continue to look at Liu Hang, but turned back to look at the supervisor and said, "Can I challenge the first place directly?" The supervisor shook his head and said, "You can't challenge the first place. After all, if every rookie says he wants to challenge the first place will be very busy, so you have to slowly move up the rankings before you can challenge the first place." "Then which place can I challenge?" Duanzai said, a little frustrated. "Zaoming, the 699th. The supervisor smiled and said, "Hot-blooded and arrogant, he still likes such energetic students." "Okay, I challenge him," Duanzai said. "Classmate Zaoming from the 699th class, someone wants to challenge you," the supervisor shouted. "Here we go." A boy who looked thin and small walked onto the stage. "Hello." Duanzai nodded and said, "Hello." Zaoming also nodded and said, "The competition begins," the supervisor said. Wind. Zaoming intended to use the wind track, but felt a sharp pain on his cheek. Then the whole person spun around. "Instantaneous?" the supervisor said in surprise. He didn't expect Duanzai to use the wind track instantly and knock Zaoming away with one punch. This student seemed very different. Instantaneous is not something that can be done by one person casually. At least a super class mage can use magic so skillfully. Pa. Zaoming fell to the ground, then smiled awkwardly and got up and said, "I lost." However, Duanzai also made Zaoming realize that he was still too weak and needed to practice well. Duanzai felt much better about this person who accepted the result calmly than Liu Hang. Isn't that guy who casts instant magic too powerful? A girl of the wind type couldn't help but say. It would take her 2 seconds at most to use the wind track. She couldn't use magic as instantly as Duanzai. Well, it seems that this guy still has something. A boy said that he was an ice type and should be able to defeat him as long as he limited the speed of this guy. Chapter 98 Ling Ling Ling. Duanzai spent a day successfully ranking up to 300th place. Basically he defeated his opponent in one move, but despite this, he still only reached 300th place. People were very surprised because no one thought that this masked man could reach such a high ranking in one day. He was a well-deserved pervert. Seeing that he could not continue the competition, Duanzai had to go back to his apartment. However, his news spread throughout the school through the campus network. "This is mine." In the apartment, rented by Du and Xiaoi, Yali was holding a box of ice cream and said, "That's mine." Lina followed closely. Now Yali and Lina are fighting for the last ice cream. Du and Xiaoi rubbed his head and said, "Isn't it okay for each of us to have half?" "Absolutely not," Yali and Lina said in unison. Then they continued to quarrel. "I put the money here, you can buy it yourself. I have something else to do." Du and Xiaoi handed the money to the two little girls and walked out. It has been a long time since I worked on the demon hunting team, so he planned to use his free time to transfer some money. Du and Xiaoi had asked around. After all, the famous place nearby was the Qingshan hunting house. When Du and Xiaoi found the Qingshan hunting house, he realized that it was not very big. "Hey, what's the problem, little brother?" an old man said with a smile. "I want to be a hunter." Du and Xiaoi said. "What kind of cultivation?" a little girl reading a book said without raising her head. Du and Xiaoi looked around and made sure that he was the only one there before he said, "High-level mage." This time he did not intend to hide his cultivation. After all, he felt that he had the power to protect himself. "What kind of high-level mage?" the little girl raised her head and said. Du and Xiaoi saw that the girl's face was very beautiful, no less than Yali and Lina. Noticing Du and Xiaoi's gaze, the girl said dissatisfiedly, "Are you a fool?" "Sorry, high-level mage of the fire system." Du and Xiaoi said. "Fire type? Not bad. You will be my partner in the future." The little girl jumped off the chair and couldn't hold Du and Xiaoi back, saying, "My name is Leng Lingling." "My name is Du and Xiaoi," Du and Xiaoi said, but he was confused in his heart. This girl seemed to be useless except for being pretty. Leng Lingling frowned and said, "I'm a hunter master." "Eh? Really?" Du and Xiaoi said in surprise. "Hunter masters are very rare. Although I think this girl is lying to me, it seems too boring to expose the lie like this. Let me show you." Leng Lingling handed her hunter master badge to Du and Xiaoi. "Oh my god. You are too good, right? Are you still a primary school student now?" Du and Xiaoi couldn't help but say, "I'm not a primary school student." Leng Lingling took back her badge with dissatisfaction and put it away. Looking at Du and Xiaoi's envious look, she felt very comfortable. "Are you still a student?" Leng Lingling said. Although she was young, she looked very mature. "A freshman at Mingzhu College." Du and Xiaoi said. A high-level mage from college? Not bad. Barely worthy of being led by a hunter master like me, Leng Lingling said, but she was still very surprised. Generally, those who break through to high-level mages in college are super-level geniuses, but this one has just entered school and has broken through, so he can definitely break through to super-level mages in 4 years. In that case, it seems that he can go find that person. That person is her former teammate and her father. Listening to the girl's shameless words, Du and Xiaoi had the idea that this guy is actually very arrogant. In this way, Du and Xiaoi became Leng Lingling's younger brother. Because there was no commission, Du and Xiaoi left his phone number and left. Leng Lingling also said that as long as there was a commission, he would notify him. Du and Xiaoi, who was strolling on the street, soon saw a pair of beautiful sisters, or twins. Marrying one should be considered marrying two. After all, they look the same. But one of the girls looked very nervous, and her eyes were always looking around inadvertently, as if she was afraid that some beast would suddenly rush out. The other girl was worriedly observing the girl next to her. Soon the two girls passed by Du and Xiaoi. A trace of dark power. Du and Xiaoi smelled a trace of dark power on the girl, who was afraid of something, but this girl was an ordinary person. Then it means that this girl was targeted by a dark creature. Du and Xiaoi was instantly angry. How could such a cute girl be killed? Du and Xiaoi quietly followed the two girls, but it was indeed troublesome for girls to go shopping. The two girls separated until the evening. As for the reason for the separation, Du and Xiaoi didn't know, but he still followed the girl with the dark breath. The girl walked on the street with some fear. Although there were street lights, the girl was still trembling slightly. Crack. A strange sound came from the street lamp next to the girl, and the girl began to run in panic. Du and Xiaoi frowned, because he saw a man standing on the street lamp with a smile watching the girl flee in panic. The man seemed to like this scene very much. Du and Xiaoi did not act rashly. Suddenly Duanzai saw the man turned into a black shadow and rushed towards the girl. Humph. Duanzai snorted coldly and moved quickly. At this time, the girl seemed to sense something and turned back in a hurry. Then she saw a man rushing towards her and her face turned pale with fear. Snap. Suddenly, a white and tender arm stretched out from the side and pinched the man's neck. The man wanted to resist, but the huge force made him unable to resist at all, and he could only groan in pain. Devil. The girl said to the man with red eyes. Do you know him? Duanzai looked at the girl and said, he is a vampire. The girl said tremblingly, you are also a vampire, right? At this time, the man looked at Duanzai and said. The girl's face, which had just recovered a little, turned pale in an instant. Well, because of an accident, I turned from a human to a vampire. Duanzai said without denying. Humans are food. Your behavior is like protecting pigs. The vampire said with difficulty. Hiss. Dare you scold me? Duanzai's body was covered with a milky white light. Zzzzzz. The vampire's skin began to fester, and then he let out a painful howl. Why? Why? Vampires can also use the power of light. The man said in horror. I used to be a human. Even if I become a vampire, why can't I use the power of light? Duanzai tilted his head and said. The rule between vampires is that they can't kill each other. You can't kill me. The man said. Stupid. Duanzai said helplessly. Other vampires will hunt you down. Nidan continued. Huh. I couldn't ask for more. Let them come. I will definitely let them reincarnate as soon as possible. Duanzai grinned. Chapter 99 Liuzan. After using the light system to solve the vampire, Duanzai looked at the timid girl beside him and said, what's your name? Liuzan. The girl bit her lip and said she didn't know whether the boy in front of her wanted to kill her or protect her. But vampires should all need blood. Want to hurt people? Don't worry. I won't hurt you. Duanzai naturally saw the girl's nervousness and spoke. The girl naturally couldn't believe him, just because of Duanzai's one-sided words. But the girl suddenly remembered what the boy had just said. The boy said that he turned from a human into a vampire. Did he have such a powerful power after becoming a vampire? The girl felt that she needed strength to protect her sister, even if she gave everything to the devil. Can you let me become a vampire? Liuzan said. Although she was very scared, she was more afraid that her sister would suddenly disappear one day, and she needed strength to protect the people around her in this world. Duanzai looked at the girl in surprise. Although he knew how to turn other people into vampires, he was still surprised by the girl's idea, but he could understand that after all, the girl probably didn't want to bully anymore. Duanzai thought about it and said, okay. But if you kill someone, I will kill you myself. Liuzan looked at the serious Duanzai and nodded and said, if I kill someone, please kill me. The power Liuzan needs is just to protect the people around her, not to kill people. Then let's go. Duanzai said and took the girl to the roof of an empty building. Because to transform into a vampire, the girl's blood needs to be emptied a little. So Duanzai cut the girl's wrist and the blood quickly gushed out. Duanzai began to use the secret method of the blood clan, and Liuzan's blood gradually outlined a magic circle on the ground. Liuzan's blood is not special, so Duanzai plans to empty her blood and then let the girl suck her blood, so the girl should have a very pure vampire bloodline. But Duanzai's blood is very special. Not only does he have the blood of the phoenix, but he also has the blood of the double-headed bird. This may be the reason why Dracula did not empty his blood. However, Liuzan's blood was very ordinary, so Duanzai directly drained the girl's blood. Generally speaking, humans will die if they drain their blood, but Liuzan did not die because of the support of the blood clan secret method. It took a long time for Liuzan's blood to be drained, and 2 vampire teeth gradually appeared. This was the blood clan secret method to change Liuzan's body. Duanzai walked to the center of the magic circle and looked at the girl and said, you can become a vampire by sucking my blood. Duanzai originally planned to let the girl suck blood from his arm, but the girl hugged him directly and stabbed her blood fangs into Duanzai's neck without hesitation. The girl's soft body was tightly attached to Duanzai, and the two looked like an intimate couple. Duanzai could feel his body getting colder because most of the blood was completely sucked by Liu when. So Duanzai had a strong recovery ability and felt weak. The vision suddenly turned black. Duanzai lost consciousness, but the girl continued to suck Duanzai's blood. Duanzai's body gradually went limp, and the girl subconsciously hugged Duanzai and continued to suck blood. Early morning. Duanzai woke up and smelled a fresh fragrance. Are you awake? I'm sorry about what happened yesterday. Liu Zion, who was sitting on the bed, hurriedly supported Duanzai and said. At this time, Duanzai remembered that he was sucked unconscious by the girl's blood yesterday. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I have a strong recovery ability. Duanzai rubbed his head and said, the girl's bed is really fragrant. Can I suck a little more? Liu Zion looked at Duanzai and said. She likes Duanzai's blood in the kind of addictive pleasure. Well, come on. Duanzai said. Anyway, it doesn't matter if it's sucked so much. Thank you. Liu Zion gently lay on Duanzai's neck and bit Duanzai's neck and began to suck blood. Sister? A girl with a pale face said in surprise. Liu Zion wanted to turn around and explain immediately, but Duanzai pressed Liu Zion's head and whispered, cleaning the blood, before you come back. Liu Zion just reacted, hurriedly licked the blood clean, then turned back to look at her sister Liu Ru and said, he is he your sister's boyfriend? Liu Ru said. Liu Zion said, yes. He is my boyfriend. Duanzai did not expose Liu Zion. He should say that he is Liu Zion's master. In this way, the three of them came to the living room to talk. Hello, my name is Liu Ru, my sister. Liu Ru said. The boy in front of her looked a little younger than her. She didn't expect her sister to like this. My name is Duanzai, your sister's boyfriend. Duanzai said. Liu Zion's face gradually became ruddy, so shy. Sorry, I didn't expect you to disturb you today. Liu Ru said with a red face. It's okay. Duanzai said. Suddenly Duanzai's phone rang. It was Leng Lingling calling. Leng Lingling told Duanzai that there was an emergency and asked him to come over quickly. After finishing the chat, Duanzai said to Liu Ru and Liu Zion, I have something to do, and I'm leaving first. Well, goodbye. Liu Zion said. Goodbye. Liu Ru also said. When Duanzai found Leng Lingling, the girl was looking at him seriously. Are you a vampire? Leng Lingling said. Yes. How did you know? Duanzai said curiously. He had never told Leng Lingling that he was a vampire. Some vampires came here to find you. They said they must kill you. Leng Lingling said. Don't worry. I will take care of them. Duanzai said and prepared to leave. If Liu continued to stay here, the vampires would probably tear down this place. He couldn't let this little girl and the old man get involved. Where are you going? Leng Lingling said. I'll take care of them. Duanzai said. Leng Lingling looked at Duanzai and said, do you know where they are? I don't know. But they should come to find me. Duanzai said. I know where they are. How about we take care of them in the daytime? Leng Lingling said. Vampires' fighting power would decrease during the day. How did you know? Duanzai asked curiously. There are so many surveillance cameras now, it's easy to find them. Leng Lingling said. Chapter 100, Hunting Vampires. There is a rule among vampires that they can fight each other, but not fight to the death. But just last night one of their vampires was killed by another vampire. A new vampire is so arrogant, so the vampires who have lived here for a long time are naturally dissatisfied. So they decided to hunt the new vampire, which is a punishment for breaking the rules. Are you ready? A young man rubbed his eyes and said he became lazy during the day since he became a vampire. Of course. What's so great about a new vampire? I will bite his neck off. A larger vampire said viciously. This is a fair opportunity to hunt vampires. The strong man really hopes that he can kill the new vampire and suck his blood. Ding dong. Just when the vampires were indignant, the doorbell rang. All the vampires who wanted to hunt Duanzai raised their heads because they all smelled Duanzai's breath. Before they went to find Duanzai, Duanzai came first. This was like an ant challenging a lion. Their anger was instantly ignited. Duanzai also punched through the door and tore it apart. The vampires all looked at the black-haired boy. "Hey, are you going to hunt me?" Duanzai said with a playful expression. He didn't think these vampires could kill him, so he should be a little arrogant. Besides, these vampires wanted to kill him. Can't he be a little arrogant? Is he okay? Leng Lingling said, while sitting on the edge of the tall building and looking at the old man next to her. "Hehe, it should be fine," the old man said with more confidence. Leng Lingling only saw a white and sacred light released. Then Duanzai came out soon. What did that guy do? Leng Lingling was shocked. His coming out means that the vampires were annihilated. But which vampires have monarch level powerhouses? What power did he use to kill those vampires? Is it the suspicious holy light? In this way, maybe it won't take long to find the secret. At the same time, hehe, have you become his subordinate? A young man grinned and looked at the girl in front of him. He didn't go to any strange meetings. He preferred to act alone. If the woman in front of him was killed, the vampire would also feel it, right? After all, the connection between vampires and a family is still relatively deep. Liu Zhan looked at the young man in front of her nervously. She could feel the pressure. "Let me taste your blood." The young man appeared in front of Liu Zhan after he finished speaking and grabbed Liu Zhan with his big hand. Liu Zhan subconsciously waved her fist. The young man smiled contemptuously. How could a mere newborn vampire hurt him? Bang! Liu Zhan's fist collided with the young man's head. Then the whole head splashed juice like a burst watermelon. Am I so strong? Or is this vampire too weak? Liu Zhan thought in surprise. But it's so disgusting. She could smell the stench of blood, and she even felt a little of the other's brain splashing on her cheek. Suddenly, the headless vampire moved and punched Liu Zhan in an instant. Liu Zhan hurriedly blocked, but the huge force still knocked her away. Liu Zhan scratched a gully on the concrete floor. Liu Zhan could feel a scar on her back, but it returned to normal in an instant. Liu Zhan slid on the ground for a few meters before stopping. Liu Zhan looked at her shoes that had been worn out without soles with some heartache. Liu Zhan pulled her feet out of the ground, then took off her tattered shoes and put them aside to throw them into the trash can later. Unforgivable. The young man's head regenerated and roared at Liu Zhan. The people around finally realized the danger and began to flee. The young man rubbed his neck and accelerated instantly. The ground under the young man's feet instantly shattered. The young man shot out like a cannonball. Liu Zhan looked at the young man and she could see his figure clearly. Liu Zhan also swung her fist. Bang! The young man's big fist touched Liu Zhan's petite fist. A powerful impact force was born instantly. The impact force spread everywhere, shattering the glass and overturning the roadside stalls. "Evil ghost!" the young man roared. A dark figure rushed out from Liu Zhan's shadow, and an extremely ugly evil ghost grabbed Liu Zhan. But Liu Zhan's figure suddenly disappeared. The furious young man and the evil ghost looked at each other. Vampires are also good at shadow magic. The young man began to sense the dark breath around him. Suddenly, he sensed the power of shadow in the shadow of a tree. The young man rushed over instantly. Liu Zhan just appeared and saw the young man's hideous expression. The young man punched Liu Zhan in the face. He didn't have the idea of sympathizing with her. He just wanted to tear the new vampire in front of him to pieces. Liu Zhan felt a little confused, and then the whole world began to spin. Liu Zhan's body spun and smashed the ground. Although the vampire's body allowed her to recover quickly, the severe pain still made her face pale. "Haha. If I say you are mine, then you must be mine," the young man said with a grin. At this time, Liu Zhan also staggered to her feet. In order to prevent the young man from hurting the blonde girl, Liu Zhan quickly rushed towards her. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.